This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, your pop culture home.
Yeah, Frank here has got his own billiard room.
Yes, it's what do you call it, Kramer?
Billiard room.
No, not billiard, not the billiards. It was
Billiards room.
Come on already. Come on, we call it the
place to be.
The place to be. Yes, the place to be.
Then I shall be there.
Now, it's time. Live and in living color.
The Grandy Man can.
Time to play the game!
Well, you always left me satisfied and smiling, so...
That's what she said.
Why do I want this? I want to make bank, bro. I want to get ass. I want to drive a Range Rover.
Place to Be Nation, Scott Criscola and Justin Rosero. This is the Place to Be Podcast.
Very nice, Mr. Crisbola.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dennis.
D'Lo Brown interfered with a frog splash and hit it on Severn, getting some revenge.
I know.
What the hell was it? What was that laugh? It was like an old cartoon fucking Hanna-Barbera dog or something. It was like Snidely. Was that the fucking dog that laughed like that?
JR's got a little more time than I do to sit and actually write a whole show.
This is the third time you said it to me today. Now I'm really curious.
Well, I'm not saying that you have nothing to do. I'm just saying
I'm curious how I have more free time than you. What does that mean?
I don't know.
I know it's been a rough, and I'm not used to this long, grueling podcast schedule.
Oh, for fuck's sakes. Are you going to just joking and go on for the next hour?
Come on, did you say D'Amato, late 20s, 30s? And you included yourself in that as well?
That was being nice. I am still technically in my 30s.
I think they might hit a shock wall.
What the fuck is a shock wall?
Is that the Shockmaster's wall?
He's going to fall through the shock wall.
Yeah, I like Big Dick myself. PTB Nation, let me know what
Here's our opener.
Could do worse than Josh Richard.
Me and your daughter got a special thing going on. You say it's puppy love, we say it's full grown. Hope that we feel this way forever. You can plan a pretty picnic, but you can't predict the weather. This Jack 10 times out of 9. Now if I'm lying, fine. The quickest muzzle, throw it on my mouth and I'll decline. King meets queen, then the puppy love thing together.
Place to Be Nation. Welcome back to another great episode of the Only Place to Be podcast. I am your co-host, Justin Rosero, coming at you live on this Monday evening inside the PTB Man Cave, coming off a hot St. Mary's Day weekend. And heading into another big weekend. Talk about that in a little while. But first, I'm going to bring in my PIC, the man who escaped the party. No broken bones, maybe a broken heart, some broken emotions, but physically intact for the first time in a while. And that is my PIC, Scott Criscola.
Good evening, JR. Yeah, feeling good physically. It was a very unique evening, but a lot of fun this weekend, as we always do.
Yeah,
welcome, PTB Nation, to episode 239 of the Place to Be podcast. It's Monday night. Once again, of course, threatening clouds in the forecast, but yes. You did get through. The arsonists got through their game tonight. So.
I was a little worried. I thought maybe we were going to get rained out. You know, it was back to, I was like, oh, here we go again. I'm having to track the damn weather. I put it out of my mind for most of the day. And then it got pretty cloudy, like around 3:30. I'm like, shit, I better check this out. Yeah. So I was right back to reading the radars like I spent most of our Friday and Saturday doing. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, so I guess we'll talk about that quickly. So you got here late Thursday night. Friday we spent the day. We went shopping, and then we cleaned up the garage a little bit. And I spent, again, most of the afternoon just monitoring all the radars. And, of course, because the whole weekend looked perfect, except the exact window of our party, 4 to midnight, was when they were calling for, like, legendary thunderstorms to come through. So we went and grabbed our sausage and peppers Friday night. Yep. Visited the Guido Fest down there in Cranston. Yes. Yep. Then we came back, watched the baseball game. We did a little something special we'll talk about later. And then, well, maybe I should just clarify.
Yeah.
Leave people on.
We did something show-related.
Yes, show-related. Saturday, got up. We, actually, Saturday was pretty chill, huh? We didn't do too much.
No, we powered our way on Friday through most of our duties, so...
Yeah, Saturday we relaxed, got some Subway, went grabbed some beer. Mm-hmm. And right at 4 o'clock, which was the official kick time of the party, the skies opened. It was like we're out on the Titanic around 3:30. We're out on the deck and the clouds were rolling in. And I still got to put some pictures up from that. But the skies opened at 4 o'clock and it just started pouring. But luckily we hadn't really set too much up yet because we knew the rain was coming. It poured and poured for about maybe like half hour, 40 minutes at the most.
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, by
It
quarter.
only poured hard for like maybe 20.
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all. It was just a few of us here, and then by 5 we were back outside. Everything was set up, and it was still hot, still steamy. The heat wave didn't break or anything yet at that point, but a pretty good turnout. We had, I'd say, we had about over 50 easily. Mm-hmm. A lot of food, a lot of good time. Then around 9, the bugs started biting a little bit too much, and there was a lightning show going on. We got a little worried once the drops started falling.
We had your neighbor behind the woods firing fucking mortar shells.
Yeah, it was.
I felt like I was in Da Nang. It was like
PTSD was kicking in for some people.
Jesus,
Poor
God.
Rich, I think, almost had to dive into bushes.
I had under the deck.
But so then, very efficiently, everyone gave a hand, and we moved everything inside. And then we spent the last, about 3.5 hours or so, old school style in the basement, playing some Pong.
Yeah. Yep.
Eating some vodka grapes.
Yeah.
Doing whiskey
some
shots.
More than they should have.
I got the story on Louis tonight from my cousin Jack.
What happened to that schmuck?
He got, I guess, Jack said he was about to pull out, and Louis just opens the car door and gets in, and he's like, I don't know what I'm doing. And he, had to get off the highway to piss. And then he passed out in the car. And, I'll take partial responsibility because I fed him the whiskey shot, and I guess that probably put him over the edge.
Wasn't that their third party, Jack and Louis? Didn't you tell me?
Yeah, they had been to 2 others before that,
too.
too.
So they probably were slightly marinated anyway. So.
And, and Jen's super strong vodka grapes didn't help things either.
No. Speaking of, we're gonna get into that.
Speaking of Jen or the vodka grapes?
The vodka grapes. No, Jen was fine. It was good to see Jen from PlaceToBeNation.com.
No, that's it. So then the party wrapped around, I want to say we went to bed around 1:30. Mm-hmm. Next morning, we got up, played some wiffle ball.
Yep.
Did our yearly trip to the pool.
Yes.
Nice.
Very refreshing.
That was a beautiful pool weather. We were just
it was nice.
sitting out there chilling. Then you headed back, and that was it. The weekend wrapped up, and I capped it with some b-ball tonight, and back to school tomorrow.
Yep, back to the grind. But fun time. Fun time had by all.
Another one, number 8 in the books.
Yes, number 8 in the books. In the books tonight, we have the 4th of the year 2000 about to go.
What's going on here?
Oh, trying to fake me out, are you? I got some tater tots in the fridge. Why don't you eat them all? For tonight, of course, when you hear his voice, that means we are entering the Vintage Vault. And tonight, we said later on in the show, JR, we were going to give everyone a surprise. But we're giving one now. A Stone Cold surprise.
I've already proved to the world that The Rock is not in my league.
The Rock is not the World Wrestling Federation champion. I am proud that you are the World Wrestling Federation champion.
The Rock wants his WWF title shot. It's going to be Triple H with Vince in his corner and The Rock with Austin 360.
Can you truly trust Stone Cold Steve Austin? My son Shane will be the special guest referee.
I'm going to be on the side I've always been on, and that's mine. It's the only thing I've ever been good at is tearing shit up.
All right, from there it's a musical montage of festivities.
Yes.
So yeah, that's a very unique voice that we haven't heard in quite some time back in the fold here. So we'll get to that as we move along.
Yes.
But rolling off a hot, successful WrestleMania in the terms of financial success and buy rates and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Creatively and I guess work rate wise and everything else, a little bit of a subpar WrestleMania we talked about last week.
Yes.
We'll see if they bounce back here as far as quality pay-per-views go. And you could tell there was some stuff they definitely saved for this show. To me, this was the first year they kind of realized, hey, you know what? We're red hot right now. I think Mania is going to draw no matter what. Let's put a little bit of focus on these pay-per-views after to try and bump those, get people to follow over there. So,
Yes. So, tonight, inside the Vintage Vault and the Place to Be podcast, we give you Backlash 2000. Usually that doesn't happen, JR. Usually we have, most of it is rematches and the losing heel champion gets his rematch.
or just a weird challenge of the month.
Right, that too.
Kind of with a 3-week build out of nowhere. This is really the first time we've had the show after Mania have like a ready-made, big-time match that had already been building.
Yep. Yeah, and it's a good one. It's the one everybody wanted the month before.
Yep.
Or the few weeks before. But now there's a wrench thrown in the mix. Might have heard a word or two from him in our open. April 30th, 2000. Live from the MCI Center, home of the Hoyas, in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. Great attendance, 17,867. Buy rate, pretty damn good, 1.62. But
Now, let me ask you something, Scott. Is this the first time we've had 2 pay-per-views in the same month?
You know, I was just thinking that. Yeah, probably, because...
I mean, even Tuesday in Texas was December.
Yes, and the Survivor Series was November 28th. Right. I'm trying to think of the other Manias. Because most Manias... let's see, the last Mania in April...
Well, 6 was in April.
11 was in April. Yeah, 11 was the last one in April. And, of course, the next pay-per-view was In Your House 1, which wasn't until May. 12 was in March, 13, 14, 15, all in March. So I believe, yes, JR, this is probably the first pay-per-view, the first year or instance where we had 2 pay-per-views.
Now they're about and the spread out is about as much as you can be. I mean, we have the April 2nd and now April 30th, so they really pushed it out as far as they could to keep them with the full build. Now, between here and our next show will be a little bit quicker, smaller gap. But Yep.
And as we talk about this, for the first time in a while, we debut a new building. The last time we were in our nation's capital was one of JR's favorite pay-per-views, the 1995 Survivor Series, I believe, was the last one in our nation's capital. And that was at the old Cap Center, which at the time was, I think, still called the Cap Center. Might have been called something else. So I believe this is the first pay-per-view in this new building. Perhaps we shall clarify, JR.
Yes, it was. Yep. Because sorry, I didn't realize you were setting me up there, but it opened on.
Because you know why?
You set me up, you son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch. No, for some reason I'm thinking, because obviously the new building currently is called the Verizon Center, and I'm not remembering whether the 2 phones changed or not. But I think the name of the old building went with this new building and stuck for a while.
So. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But this opened in 1997, December 2nd, broke ground October 18th, 95, formerly known as the MCI Center, that's what it was when it opened in 1997.
Yep. Okay, so I'm right.
Yes, you are always right, sir. Project manager was Siegel Bay Sports. The home of the Washington International Horse Show as well, of course.
Oh.
Home also to the Wizards of the NBA, the Capitals of the NHL, the Washington Mystics of your league, the WNBA, the Georgetown Hoyas.
Yes.
Of NCAA Big East basketball, and the Washington Power for 1 year in the NLL.
Because you know what? I love those WNBA bitches.
Yes, you do.
The Mystics were an expansion team. I don't think they were one of the originals anyway, but we're not going to.
Let me throw a little sports trivia your way, sir.
Certainly, I will certainly try.
What basketball milestone occurred on February 21st, 2003?
In that building?
Mm-hmm.
I know. The last game. See, the last game or the last points that Michael Jordan scored in the NBA?
Incorrect.
Oh.
Michael Jordan scores 43 points and becomes the oldest player and only player at age 40 or older to score 40 points in an NBA.
All right, I had the guy right. I just didn't have the right milestone. Okay. That was his last year, right? 02-03? I think he was done after that. Did he play one more year? Did he play into 04? He might have.
Because he came back. He only came back in it was like 01-02.
Right.
I thought is when he made his return.
So I don't think he played more than
I thought he played 3 years, didn't he?
Maybe he did play 3 years. All right, so that's why I'm asking. All right. So 2003, 2004 was probably his last year.
April 30th, 05, the Wizards won their first playoff game in nearly 17 years with a win over the Bulls.
Wow. And at least they got I'm glad their uniforms are back to the cool Bullets colors instead of that god-awful other color. But anyway, so there we go. Attendance, as mentioned, pretty good. 17,867, no fault there. Buy rate, ridiculously good, as usual.
Yeah, it's a little short of a sellout, but who knows? This is the seating now. So,
yeah.
Well, actually, for basketball, it held 2674 back when it opened. So take a little bit off for the set and everything. So I'm sure it was as close to sellout as you're going to get.
Okay. And the buy rate, pretty damn good, 1.62. And your announcers, the voices of the Attitude Era. Good old JR, Jim Ross, Jerry the King Lawler.
And you're right, Michael Jordan played 2 years. He played 01-02. He came back in the season, played 60 games. And then he played a full season in 02-03.
Okay.
Do you remember his points per game?
For the Wizards? Ooh, I don't know. Not much. I would say somewhere in the 18 to 19 a game range.
He averaged just under 23 his first year back.
Okay.
And 20 on the nose for year 2. Not bad. I mean, for a guy in his 40s who hadn't played in 5 years.
Yeah, and who
Or,
also,
3 years.
didn't exactly have Pippen, B.J. Armstrong, and,
That was a big deal when he came back, man.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
It was huge.
Yeah. I don't know what he was expecting. I don't know what he was expecting out of them, but in any event. We have 3 matches on Sunday Night Heat. Let us know, JR, what they are.
All right. First up, we have D'Lo Brown defeating Al Snow by disqualification. I'm sure that was a barn burner.
Ugh.
We had The Godfather and Kyantai, our little team, defeat Steven Richards and your boys, the Headbangers, Mosh and Thrasher. And Val Venus, rhymes with penis, lost to Mr. Steve Blackman.
There we go.
It's like a battle of the 98 mid-card there. Blackman
Yes.
and Venus.
Yes.
So there you have 3 Sunday Night Heat tilts.
Are you surprised? Well, maybe not at this moment, but considering what was coming up with Val, were you kind of surprised he was dumped on Heat?
No. They hadn't really completely started to rebuild him yet.
True. This is a unique show. I'm looking forward to it because we talked about at WrestleMania 16 the kind of oddity that was that card and the roster at the moment. Because as great as much talent as the roster had at this moment, with of course the fresh injection of talent over the last couple months, things were still a little kind of confusing, almost disorganized.
You think so?
And I think, well,
you think it's too much talent?
You could almost say there was too much talent, but I think this show kind of laid out who belongs where and doing what.
See, this starts the trend. In a lot of ways, WrestleMania 16 was like the end of the old school Manias due to the card setup and the setting and the fact that they were still trying to kind of break out and making it a huge event more than just a big wrestling event. But also, to me, it was the start of a new era of getting everyone on the show, or maybe a throwback to the old era, I don't know, but getting everyone on the show, squeezing everything in. Even if the feuds aren't simmering or long building, we're going to just make these matches, get guys back on the card, and then we'll reset things in April and kind of get back to the fundamentals. And to me, this was where it kicks back off again. I mean, if you want to say WrestleMania 1 through 7 were similar to that, where they would throw guys on the card, but there was a lot more time where they could even build some of that stuff up, just due to all the gaps between pay-per-views. Here, you don't have all that time, so a lot of the feuds are sped up or thrown together 2 weeks before the show, just to get everyone on the card. And to me, WrestleMania 16 was a prime example of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I think here, they kind of finally, Kresge was actually kind of take a deep breath and go, all right, let me see what I got in front of me here. All right, I like where you're going to go here, you're going to go here, we're going to put you over there. And I think finally he actually had a chance to sit, look at his roster and go, all right, what am I doing here? All right, let's do this, and this. And I think that's why the rest of the year was so great. Because I think he finally was able to sit down, look at the roster, and put the pieces in place that needed to be placed. And I think this show starts that, which is why I think the next few shows, barring the one in June, which we'll get to, pretty much from now through September, with the exception of June, every show is awesome. And I think that's the reason. I think Kresge knew where, and he wasn't worrying about who was funny and what skit would be funny and all this jazz. I think he was just focusing on I got a lot of talent here. I gotta lay it out properly so these shows don't suck. And I think this is the first one that he actually had the time to do that. So let's dive in. We have a title match to open the show, JR.
Do we?
Yes, we do. The World Wrestling Federation Tag Team titles on the line. Our champions.
Our champions.
The studs that escaped that unbelievably awesome 5-star triangle ladder match at WrestleMania, Edge and Christian, taking on the retooled, repackaged, not repackaged, but re-put together DX. We'll get to you later. DX. X-Pac and Road D-O-double-G. After what happened at No Way Out, were you a little bummed that with so many other good teams on the roster, these guys got stuck were given the title shot?
Yeah, but everyone else kind of had something going on, and it kind of made sense with the whole, we're past just Triple H and DX leading the way and past the Stephanie. Now we're into the full-blown McMahon-Helmsley faction regime, where it's Vince, Shane, Vince, Shane, Stephanie, Triple H, DX, Big Show kind of was on the periphery for a little bit. So now we're like just fully loaded up here of the heel side was almost all completely affiliated one way or the other. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of made sense. And they actually did a dusty finish on Raw leading up to this where Dog and X-Pac won the titles, and then they had a second referee, Earl Hebner, came out and overturned the result. And then
speaking of dusty finishes, there'll be a couple of those. We'll talk about the other big one later.
Yes.
The other big one. There was another big one that happened, too. That one was a little more drawn out than
right, but this one teased that one. You know what I'm saying? It set the story in place with Earl being the guy that overturns it. So this Edge and Christian come in here, finally starting to pick it up a little bit character-wise. We talked about this in Mania, how they were starting to do the whole, I don't want to say like insider terms or kind of insider jokes with the run-ins and all that stuff. And they weren't completely there yet, but they were getting there. Mm-hmm. They were definitely getting there. And they were finally starting to show some of that personality and show that, okay, these guys maybe do deserve to be the premier team finally. And they're not lagging behind anymore. And they're also starting to turn basically heel. So this is almost a weird kind of tweener heel thing going on with this match.
Mm-hmm. They were very entertaining, but they were doing it at the expense of other baby faces. I think this is who they actually were. I think they were finally told, all right, the brooding, no pun intended, side of your characters from so long ago are gone. It's time for us to see who you guys really are. And I think they were just allowed to just let loose now. I think this was their character all along.
Well, part of me wonders, were they forced? I don't want to say forced, but were they kind of given an ultimatum, like, all right, here's your chance, go do it, or else you're done, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, they must have seen these other teams starting to lag them, and they knew they had to break out. So I'm curious if they were told or given the chance, or if they just started doing it on their own.
Right.
That'll be one of the Kevin questions. Yeah, how did they get to this point?
Right. So I think they definitely were told, you got to pull the ripcord, and you guys think you're funny. Well, show me you're funny.
Right. Yep.
And to their credit, they were. They were very current. I just like the fact they plan their run-ins. Isn't this where we're supposed to run in and break the match up? Okay, let's do that. And then they sit back down. Okay, we just did the run-in.
No, I don't think you got that right, actually. That's like the Russo way. That's like what WCW is doing. Mm-hmm. They were just saying, we're going to do a run-in. You know what I'm saying, the difference?
Right.
Like, they weren't saying, oh, it's in the script for us to time for the run-in part of the show. They were doing they were just using the insider term, being like, all right, this is called a run-in, what we're going to do. Kind of like that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
kind of like, oh, we're heels now. But not like, oh, told us to be heels. They're not.
Yeah, no, I apologize if that's where I was going.
You should apologize. Make a mockery of yourself in the show.
God, be so dramatic. So the match itself is exceptional. Road Dogg and X-Pac. Well, X-Pac was already firmly established as the work rate guy.
Shit.
You're certainly not the work rate of anything. And Road Dogg, kept up. Perfect timing, just under 10 minutes, nothing crazy. And, of course, using heel chicanery, Christian hits him with the ring bell, which hasn't been used much in a heel weapon sense in a while. The champs retained their titles. So it was a good showcase for them to show that, we're going to be this kind of group, and this is the kind of team we're going to be, and we're going to, run in and we're going to cheat and keep our belts and giggle about it.
I mentioned too that X-Pac gets busted open hard way here, which was pretty
pretty
gross.
Yes, and again, I don't think anybody expected these guys to win. I think this was just kind of a showcase match for the new champions and just kind of a good solid, good solid title defense. Yes, it was heels, and yes, they cheated to win, but it was a title defense nonetheless. And worked for the show. So there you go. Edge and Christian retain their World Wrestling Federation Tag Team titles with a pretty solid win, even though they did cheat over X-Pac and Road Dogg. And a very good match. Definitely 3-star quality. So.
And we should also mention, Scott, we had a very special guest ring announcer for this match.
We did.
Aggression CD from Run DMC.
Put the Thunderbird down.
Oof.
Wow.
I can
smell her from here. Jesus. Don't put a lighter near her mouth when she speaks. She'll take off your eyebrows. Be like the grill on Saturday. She was God, disaster. Oh my God. That is, of course, the voice of the voluptuous. I'm laughing so hard I totally forgot her name.
Jack Campbell.
Thank you. Yeah. He laughed at the end of that.
Prince Devitt. Of course, Deborah McMichael, Deborah Marshall, now also known as, of course, Mr. Well, were they married yet or just dating?
I don't think they got married till later in the year. Let me clarify that. I don't think they got married till later in the year, but let's see. Yes, she was the special guest ring announcer, Devitt McMichael. Hey, baby, I got a prince in my family. And she came out to do the guest ring. I don't know why. Just because she had nothing else to do. Pretty awful. She comes out to guest ring announce this match and is clearly very poor at it. So, I think it's her only one, correct? I don't think she does it again.
Definitely her only match.
Yeah. Let's see. Moved in together in 2000. Nope, they don't get married till September.
Okay.
So they're living together at this point, though. That was just awful. So bad. Party going on in the nation's capital. Filth Ball would have been very disappointed. All right. Next up, our second title match of the evening, JR. And a match that we haven't seen, or a title we haven't seen defended on pay-per-view in a while. The World Wrestling Federation Light Heavyweight title is on the line. We talked about the back and forth bantering of the title between guys after Gilbert had held it hostage, that son of a bitch, as he wanted a new contract. No, I'm just kidding. He didn't want a new contract. He was lucky he had a job. Dean Malenko, 1/4 of the Radicals. He first won the title on March 13th when he defeated S.A. Rios, who we'll talk about later. Then, 4 days later, I shouldn't say 4 days, over a month later, on April 17th.
Well, you're technically right. It was over 4 days.
It was over 4 days, but I thought it was just 4 days. A month later, Dean was upset by a guy who, I can't even remember the last time he wrestled a major singles match. Mm-hmm. And that is one half of Too Cool. Well, it certainly wasn't Grandmaster Sexay. That ship sailed long ago. Being in the light heavyweight title picture. But it's part...
Sorry, I wanted to make sure we get that in. Yeah, I agree with you. The Scotty thing was definitely a shock. I don't think anyone really saw that coming. But Too Cool was hot, so I guess they figured that he deserved a win like that and have a little quick title run. Dean actually, which I thought was weird, Dean regained the title on SmackDown right before this show, a few days before. And then they have their rematch here. Did you think it was weird? Do you think they should have just kept the title on Scotty until the show?
Yeah, and just have Dean beat him. I don't know, that was odd. I don't know where that came from. You should have just had Dean beat him here. He does anyway. Yeah, that was kind of odd. I don't know where that came from. You look back and you think to yourself, Dean was like probably the absolute leftover guy in this bunch when the four guys came. Not because of his lack of talent, but he was the older of the four, and he probably didn't have as long a shelf life. So, there wasn't much expected of him. He was probably going to get a couple matches in. Obviously, the two real showcase guys of these four were obviously Benoit and Eddie, and we'll get to them later. But Dean ended up being the first guy to win a belt, which shocked us, and we talked about that the last show. And here he is in a major match on pay-per-view for a title. And
well, do you think part of it is that Dean, in a way, being lower on the rung helped him? Like, Saturn and Eddie were kind of in that other middle title range, and Benoit was obviously up high. He was with like IC world level. And then you have these other guys, Eddie and Saturn were kind of IC tag European. Dean was down in the lightweights. So it was almost, that lightweight belt was always just kind of thrown on guys to try and get them over out of the gate. Does that make any sense? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, no, you're right. No,
it was like it benefited him not to be up on a higher level. So, yes, it's impressive that he's the first one to win a title, but it's also like the least impressive title, maybe, well, if we cut the hardcore, but next to least impressive title to win.
Right. But on the other side of that coin, look at the match we end up getting. This match is incredible. Blown away. Many call it maybe a top 3 match for the entire year 2000. These two guys just go crazy. They get a good amount of time, almost 13 minutes. And
I don't know if I would say it's one of the top 3 of 2000.
No, I didn't say it was. I'm saying some people, that had that Radicals mindset back then thought this was one of the 3 or 4 best matches of the year. Is it? It's good. But there were a lot of good matches in 2000, but this one was highly thought of, probably because it came out of nowhere. I think it was more that people were surprised by it. But they move around very well. I think more people were impressed with Scotty, that Scotty kind of kept up with a guy like Dean.
I think that's part of the appeal of this match.
Yeah.
It's very good. It is. It's well worked. It's fast paced. But I think a lot of it was the shock and just awe of Scotty 2 Hotty putting this match on.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously, Dean is well documented. His ECW matches, his great light heavyweight run in WCW. So he was established. But Scotty pretty much was a leftover schmuck from the Too Much run, and now it's Too Cool. At least he's being cheered. But still, he was a tag team guy. He was like a lighter Billy Gunn. But here, he shows his stuff. And the finisher is crazy. Dean goes for a superplex, and I don't know if he meant to do this or if he had to improvise in midair, but I don't know how the hell he pulled it off.
I'm pretty sure it was planned. I don't think
had
he
to
improvised this move.
Yeah,
a little dangerous.
I know. He goes for a superplex, and all of a sudden, he moves Scotty's body and hits a DDT instead of a superplex off the second rope.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, it does something you hadn't seen, and I think that's what also, not only is this a surprise to see Scotty in this kind of a match, also a surprise to have this level of action, because it's something we're not completely used to seeing on the undercard in the light heavyweight division as well.
Right, exactly. And I think that's one of the alluring things about this show is that on top of what was already scheduled to be pretty good, we get a match out of nowhere that may have matched what the card was supposed to have. So I think that shocked people too. I mean, there's matches on this card everyone was anticipating to be very good, and people were like, this one might not be too bad. And it ended up being almost as good as the other matches on this card. So, but out of all that, Dean Malenko retains the World Wrestling Federation Light Heavyweight Championship in a very, very good match. I don't think it's on anything. Oh, you know what? Is it on that hardcore DVD?
Why would it be on there?
Not hardcore. I think of another, not the hardcore DVD. Maybe it's Wrestling's Highest Flyers, maybe? I know it's on a compilation somewhere.
Your face is on compilation of stupid things.
That was original.
No,
All right,
I don't think it's on any.
No, I don't. Yeah, it probably isn't. All right. Next up, a typical J-Roz Haas match, tag team affair. Speaking of Haas tag teams, we got our fair share of the Twin Towers this weekend.
Yes, we did.
Yes.
Watched a lot of 1989 superstars, early 1989.
Early 89, yes, including the multi-week run of Sean Mooney's alternate gray jacket with the silver WWF logo on it. Never saw that very often. All right. 2 Haas teams here. One team we saw kind of premiere together at SummerSlam, at WrestleMania. The Big Boss Man. One half of the Twin Towers. How about that? And Bull Buchanan, who's good, but as we all know, JR, he's no Akeem. Taking on 2 other Haas's, and that is Bradshaw and Farouk, the Acolytes. And, of course, as we talked about the Acolytes, they're in their new run of drinking beer, playing cards, kicking ass for money.
Yes, that's the big part of it, that they're still doing the APA stuff where they're accepting payoffs and protecting people and then beating the shit out of others. And they got to a fight with Boss Man and Bull Buchanan at a local bar, and that leads to the match here. So Boss Man and Bull still kind of getting this push, even though, I guess every hot tag run needs to have the lesser, this is like the modern-day Bushwhackers. Bushwhacker level.
Yes.
Boss Man and Bull aren't completely getting over, but I mean, kind of surprising they give him a tag match here, but even more surprising to me is that they go over the Acolytes clean.
Yeah.
So really trying to get Bull the push, scissor kick off the top. And normally I'd advocate it. Normally I'd be all for it. I'd be like, okay, get the young guy over. But this is the hottest the Acolytes have been. You haven't had a better run out of them. They're getting really over for the first time with this gimmick, and it seemed kind of weird to me that they would pick now to job them clean here. Maybe they figured they were over enough in their character that it didn't matter. It was more important to try and get Bull to win, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It's very strange, though. Very strange that they would do that. Maybe they were planning. I mean, obviously, weren't planning any type of tag run. I mean, they weren't at that.
Did you feel like Boss Man was already starting to kind of feel out of place now?
Yes and no. He obviously had served his purpose with Vince in 98 into 99. Now, I think with the corporation done, I think he was just there as a heel. But at the same time, I mean, he was kind of keeping up in terms of being in matches. And
he was great with the Al Snow and the Boss Man stuff. And I kind of get what they're doing here with the whole kind of train the guy, trying to help the young guy get over. And I guess that's a good way to use him. I just don't. Well, I don't know. It just doesn't seem to quite fit anymore. In a promotion that's quickly seeing the work rate and the athleticism increase, guys like him were starting to become almost seem kind of dinosaur-like. A gimmick from 2 years ago during an era where a year and a half where it didn't matter what your match was like. Now we're kind of flipping the script where everything's hot and over. You're going to be able to talk, but if the matches aren't clicking, you're kind of losing it,
Yep, I agree. So maybe at this point, maybe he's just there to collect a paycheck. Maybe this is
no, I think he was trying. I mean, I don't.
No, I'm not saying he wasn't. No. Let me rephrase that. I'm not saying he was tanking matches
He said
for
he was
money.
just there to get a.
I am saying Vince kept him on, kind of, to, give him a living. Boss Man is one of the most loyal. I don't think you've ever heard a bad word said about him in the business. I think he was always one of Vince's favorites throughout the years. I don't think he had an issue with him leaving in '93 for WCW because the product was changing and it was time for him to move on. And he brought him back. He didn't have to, but he did. Of all the guys in WCW that he gave a high profile thing to in '98, he gave it to Boss Man. So I don't think I definitely think Vince had an affection for him. So that I think at this point he's there to collect a paycheck. I'm not saying he's tanking his matches. I mean he's doing as hard as he can, but I'm saying he still has a job because Vince he's one of his favorites. He's like Coco and Tito and, Dino Bravo and those kind of guys, And he gets a win here. That's a shocker. The shocker's not it's on the show. It's all right to fill slots, but I agree with you. Acolytes are just crazy over. They're they're the characters these guys all wanted, that every guy wanted to be. Just 2 dudes playing cards, getting beer money, and kicking the shit out of guys. I mean, a great job, a great life to live. So that character, that gimmick was crazy over. And And, but to job here, that was kind of suspect. You think they were heading towards something with these teams? Didn't seem like it.
No, I think they're just trying to get the young guy a win.
Yeah, I think so too. And he wasn't not over. I think they, probably could have. They probably could have done some more Raw matches.
Way more time than anyone's needed to ever spend on.
Speak up, Bull Buchanan. Never do we have enough time to talk about the Boss Man. All right. Another title match on our show this evening. This time, the World Wrestling Federation Hardcore title is on the line. Now, at some point between WrestleMania and now, Mr. 24/7 himself got his belt back. Because if you remember, at WrestleMania, Hardcore Holly left that crazy, weird amusement park train wreck of a match to win the Hardcore title. But at some point, Little Cousin won it back. So the 24/7 rule back in effect, and he's being chased by the universe.
Well, he won it back the next night.
Yeah.
On Raw. That added a little bit of fuel to, okay, did they fuck up?
Right.
And then they traded. It was traded a bunch of times on Raw and SmackDown before this. Like you said, 24/7 rules back on, and they were back fighting in the hotels and everything else. And guys would sneak in, steal the win, but Crash always managed to escape back with the title. So there was a lot of changes during this stretch.
Yes. Just to see if we can maybe get a quick check here. How many times it was switched around?
Yeah.
From Hardcore Holly.
Because there was a lot.
Yes, let's see here.
Crash definitely won the next night, though. So, like I said, that made people kind of wonder, was that...
Right. So the next night on Raw from L.A., Crash Holly won it back. Then on April 11th, SmackDown, over a week later, the title changed hands 3 times on that night alone. First, Perry Saturn won it. Then Taz won it. And then by the end of the night, Crash won it back. So in the span of 3 nights, Perry Saturn had his first Hardcore title reign, Taz had his third, and Crash Holly had his 5th. Then on the April 24th Raw from Raleigh, North Carolina, Matt Hardy won the Hardcore title for his first reign. He held it until the next taping of SmackDown the next night in Charlotte, where Crash Holly won it back. So there you go.
I think him and Jeff had a match, too. It was like the first singles match, and the Hardcore title was on the line.
I believe that might be on the Hardcore DVD. I think I remember that match being on there. So, yeah. So between WrestleMania and this show, the title technically changed hands 5 times. 6 times. We'll continue to document because it doesn't end there. So this is a 6-man Hardcore match. This one's not like WrestleMania where there's a bunch of pins. It's just 6 dudes, and then the first pin wins. Your participants are pretty much all the guys we just mentioned. Of course, the champion, Crash Holly, Perry Saturn, Taz, Hardcore Holly, and as JR mentioned, both Hardy brothers, Jeff and Matt.
Did you like this growing trend of multi-man hardcore matches? Just throw everyone that's kind of hanging around in there and let them brawl. Did you think the one-on-one hardcore thing was kind of played out a bit in 99?
A little bit, but I think the only thing that bugs me about it is and this is obviously a topic we've talked about a lot over the last 3 shows, 3 vaults, is what's happened to Taz. That he's just been pigeonholed. Let's just stick him in all these matches. He's the only one that's really been disappointed, and not his fault, that he's stuck in, that he's kind of been pigeonholed in this scenario. Yeah,
I think that's a big part of it.
Now let me ask you.
Yeah.
Do you feel the Hardys have been demoted?
That's where I was headed next, because I don't think they're demoted. I think the shine is on Edge and Christian right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a little bit of just lag, maybe. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say demoted, because I don't think they're being punished. But I look at this card, there's 3 or 4 tag matches, and they're in here. To me, I would rather see like Bull and Boss Man or the Acolytes in this match.
Every time you say Bull first, you think you're going to say Bull and Dump.
Bull and Dump.
Maybe they would have been higher up the card.
I'd rather see one of those two teams in the hardcore match and have the Hardys face the other. You know what I mean? To me, the Hardys belong more. And I know it was meant to be more of like a novelty, and they paid it off with the singles match for the hardcore title. So I think that was part of it. And they just figure they'd polish the storyline. They're out of the hardcore division after this. They don't linger.
Right.
So it might have just been a 1 month thing just to get the little pop, you know?
The match is, I mean, it's typical hardcore. I wouldn't say it's anything. It wasn't anything memorable about it. I mean, Taz, as expected, looked like he had it won. He had the Taz mission on Crash. And then... sorry, Mr. President. I don't know if Gorilla would like this. This gimmick didn't seem Gorilla's cup of tea. But Saturn breaks it up. And then Saturn's pulled out of the ring. Taz is prone, and Crash rolls over him and gets the cheap pin. Not cheap, but gets the pin.
Did you think the 24/7 thing was still kind of good? Or did you...
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
It was. Let me tell you, in my opinion, the 24/7 stuff was maybe just as good a fill in between matches on the shows on Raw and SmackDown than skits. I think backstage stuff. Look, and we've again also well documented about my reverence for Triple H. But even after a while, the Vince, Shane, and all the backstage stuff was just getting very. Some of it was just so dry that it was just getting laborious to watch. The 24/7 stuff actually added a little sizzle to the between match stuff. So I had no problem with it, whether it was in a laundromat or the ball pit at Chuck E. Cheese or something like that. That was fine.
So let me
ask
you something else. Where do you think Taz could have fit in when you look at the rest of the card now, the way it's filling out?
I would have.
Or do you think he was just stuck?
I think if you didn't have anything solo for him, why not put him in the light heavyweight division to start? Put him in with Malenko and come on, Dean Taz. Holy crap! What a great match that would be. Nothing against Scotty. I mean, that match, as we mentioned, came out of nowhere.
More? You don't think it hurts Taz more to have him as a light heavyweight than it does a hardcore?
Well, I guess it's 6 of one and a half dozen the other.
No, I think hardcore at least kind of fits him. He can play up the ECW tough guy thing. If you stick him in the light heavyweight division, now you're really calling out what a midget he is. He's not like a little skinny high flyer. I mean, he's
that is true.
Stout. So
yeah, that's true. I guess the problem is, I don't
like it one bit.
Do you put him in?
I don't like it.
Well, then let me ask you this then: do you put him in something where he at least stands out?
How does he stand out? Is a midget? Is the tallest midget in the short guy club?
Well, then he's stuck in the hardcore division where he's just blended in with everybody else. I don't know if he could. I mean, he could have probably fit in the. See, this is where having the European title. Oh, there is a European title. We're going to put him in that. Put him in the European title chase.
It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal. You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Was Taz
Taz in the light heavyweight division. The hell's wrong with you?
Manager? All right, well then how about the European?
Yeah, Gene Wilder's taller than Taz. You don't want to call that out.
Augustus Gloop is his manager. Well then put him in the European title picture.
Well, you got another guy in there though right now.
Right, but that's okay.
Okay.
The Radicals can't face each other. I mean, when we get to
he's not a radical.
These guys later on.
Do you think Taz? Well, I'm gonna put this two ways. One, you think he would have been way more successful if he debuted in January '99? Two, would it have mattered because would he have been over as much, or did he need that '99 run in ECW to solidify himself?
I think he needed the '99 run to solidify himself. I think he would have just got caught up in the middle of that sloppy mid card with the Henrys and the Brood and the Gangrels and all that. I think he would have got lost in the shuffle. I think the last year in ECW was needed for him. He was just put in a shitty spot. All right, maybe the light heavyweight was kind of an insult. Sorry about that, Taz. But the hardcore division, yeah, it suits him, but unfortunately he's wrestling fucking with 9 guys every night, so he's just lost in the shuffle with other dudes.
Yeah, he needed a legit feud. Whether it's a title or not, he needed a feud that was not just fighting guys for the hardcore title. I also think as soon as he got his huge pop, I think by February, early March, he should have been heel.
Yeah.
I think he was better suited to be a heel, an asshole heel, not the gritty bulldog guy that they were trying to portray him as at No Way Out. little plucky guy who won't stay down.
Let me ask you this. Should Vince have tried to maybe grab Bill Alfonso to be his manager?
Yeah, I mean, why not? You know? I would have tried to recreate what happened in ECW. If there was ever a time they were working that style, it was now.
Yeah.
So why not go for it? He needed a freshening up, and he'd actually get some time to do it. Also, we should talk about, it was during this stretch after Mania, where Mike Awesome jumped from ECW to WCW while he was ECW World Champion. Took the title with him. ECW, threatened a lawsuit, everything else, illegal action, so Awesome came back, agreed to lose the belt. But to avoid losing it to... Well, actually, I forgot how the whole... You'd think they'd rather him lose it to ECW guy than to a WWF guy, but somehow worked out that they brought Taz in for one night. Taz showed up at an ECW house show, choked out Awesome, won his title back. Then showed up on Raw and SmackDown with it, and they would make comments like, oh, on his day off, Taz went out and won the ECW world title from, basically, from a WCW guy.
Yeah.
And, of course, in another memorable match, faced Triple H on Raw. First instance ever where the ECW champion fought the WWF World Heavyweight Champion on the program there. Tommy Dreamer interfered, tried to help Taz, but Triple H ended up winning the match. A little bit of anger. A lot of people thought they just did it to bury ECW. I don't think... well, can I finish?
Oh, right.
Jesus. Go ahead, Rod Perth, Mr. USA. Gonna get all your comments in.
Rod Perth.
No, I don't agree with that, is what I was going to say.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were doing way more for ECW than anyone really realized at the time. So even just putting their champion and putting their belt on TV and having them hang with your world champion is a pretty big deal to me. Mm-hmm. That probably legitimized Taz or the ECW title more than anything Heyman could have done at that point on his own show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they were just trying to bury the title. If he came out and squashed them, maybe, but... and he gave him a pretty competitive match, and I don't think it was meant to make them look stupid. I think it was just to pop the whole two world champions facing off on Raw thing.
Yeah, I mean...
Go ahead.
I agree.
Yes.
No. Yeah, I mean, if they were going to bury him, they would have had him lose to, fucking S.A. Rios or some shit. But, they put him on a high-profile thing against the champion, and he didn't get buried. And he looked pretty good in the match. The run-in and everything seemed a little phony, but I think that I think it made him look strong. I think fans were very hypersensitive about guys from other companies at this point. We'll get more into that over the next couple of vaults.
Well, ECW fans had a chip on the shoulder. I mean, that's what the whole promotion was built on.
Right.
They just didn't realize that the guy they hated was funding the whole fucking thing. So it's like...
Yeah, exactly. But as we see in a couple months, the company, there's other guys in the promotion that fans were very sensitive about. They wanted to make sure they were protected and looked good and that kind of thing. And it would be worse, a few shows. So as much as the company was hot at the moment, fans had their favorites, and they wanted to make their favorites make sure they didn't get... This is where, to a certain extent, the bloom was kind of falling off Vince's rose as like the underdog.
Wayne Bloom?
The Wayne Bloom Philip.
No, I agree with you, though.
It's a heavy flower.
I agree with you, though. They definitely are starting to lose that underdog touch.
Yeah.
But they weren't like the scourge yet. I mean, outside of the Riders and the Mushnicks and those guys that had the hard on for them no matter what.
Right.
I feel like while they weren't the underdogs, I feel like they were still fan favorites. I mean, Triple H was like a god at that point, and they just saved the Radicals. Like, that was huge.
Mm-hmm.
You know how big that was to like internet fans and stuff? They saved those guys and were pushing them immediately. The bloom completely doesn't... They don't start to turn. Fans don't start to turn until about a year from now.
Well,
right after WrestleMania 17.
Yeah, because they should have gotten better. They wanted more out of something than they got, and we'll get to that down the line. But again, as much as the product was hot and they loved Vince, now they were like, "Wow, our guys that we liked in WCW are here." Maybe because the whole premise of it was that WCW was treating them like shit, and they were expecting more out of them. Right. In the WWF. But the fact remains is, they had a full roster of guys. But we'll get to that. Taz's case was different because he wasn't mistreated in ECW. He was the fucking, he was the big fucking monster. He was the man.
And I think people ought to look at it fairly, though, and say, you know what? This guy was, he's got a lot of shortcomings. And there really isn't a pun intended there. He's got a lot of, he's got a lot of negatives. He's got a lot of positives, but he's got a lot of negatives when it comes to the world of the WWF. And you could say what you want, that, okay, they were, didn't care as much about look. I mean, this had a year on top of Mick Foley and, they have Big Show and his pot belly running around.
Yeah.
They got a lot of smaller guys on there as well. They just brought over these guys from WCW that are like a foot shorter than the usual stars. But Taz was even shorter than that. It didn't really have a look they'd get behind. Right. He could talk. Mm-hmm. But much like the Dudleys when they came in, his style of talking maybe didn't completely fit the product.
Right.
So I think it's impossible to expect them to use him as well as ECW did. Especially at a time period where everything they touched turned to gold.
Right.
If he had come in during like a downswing where they could have said, all right, fuck it, just go out there and be yourself. Do what you're going to do. Help us rebuild kind of thing. I think the fact that they were so hot and so over, they didn't need to put up with that. They could just do what they wanted with him. So, to me, it was just a marriage that was kind of always doomed to fail in this instance, him as a wrestler.
Right. Well, like we said, we'll document how over the next 2 or 3 shows, particularly in the summertime, there's one show in particular that everybody gets pissed off about their guys. Like, again, there's the fans that love the company, which is pretty much, the whole, everybody, most of them anyway, 80%. And then you got your 20% who, the company's cool, but I like my guys.
Right.
And there were the Taz fans. The guys that went to the bingo hall where there was no heat or no air conditioning and it smelled like a fucking horse's ass. But they love their guy. And then you had your personal favorites in WCW that were getting buried. But there's a flip to that nobody understood, and we'll get more into that. It's not as big a deal now, but we'll get into it at the show where everybody gets all upset because there's another side to the story. But so anyway, that whole great discussion and awesome job, JR. Great points. Crash Holly is still your still your hardcore champion.
Taz is still buried,
and Taz
despite how much we talked about him.
Yes. All right. Speaking of buried, a lot of people might have thought this guy was. But he wasn't. But here he is, in all his glory. And my PIC might be a little upset. All right, that's all I'm playing because that song's dreadfully slow. But mushy.
Mariah Carey?
No, Olivia Newton-John.
Oh, okay.
Mariah Carey. Come on, I'm only playing things pre-1990.
You know me. I don't like anything unless it's performed by a certain style of person.
Exactly. And a decade.
Yeah.
So anyway, Olivia Newton-John from 1974. But in any event, you're very upset here because, I don't know, your boy... Is this
all right, let me talk about it. So, I wanted to play this clip. I cannot find it anywhere. Mm-hmm. There's a clip that has the entire Backlash show, but this match is not in there. I cannot understand why. I can't find it anyway. I don't know if they pulled this one match. It's so odd. I scanned on and off that whole show, that whole clip, and I cannot find it. Anyway. In his never-ending quest to clean up America, your hero mine, Kurt Angle, went on a crusade for abstinence over the weeks leading up to the show, began parading around with homemade signs. His most famous came to his campaign on the campus of Penn State. Pretty fitting. Olympic Heroes for Abstinence, otherwise known as OHFA, OFA. Oral exams, not oral sex. The best sex is no sex. It's true, it's true. Got in the middle of couples that were kissing, and they cut a great promo against the Godfather about the joys of celibacy, and taught him what a condom is. Big Show later then would start rubbing it in, and as Kurt would be picketing on one side of the concourse, he'd show up on the other with condoms and pushing people to go get it on. So a lot of back and forth. And as we talked about at Mania, Big Show had developed this personality we first saw on Saturday Night Live, and he started to kind of explore it. He came out one week and said, "Hey, I'm more than just a crazy giant. I'm I'm a guy who can laugh and make people laugh and tell jokes. And one week he came out dressed and acting like Fat Bastard from the Austin Powers movie. Next week he came out and danced with Rikishi and Too Cool. So he's like doing all kind of spoofs and kind of jokey stuff. He got serious one week and beat up Kurt, and they had a legit fight. But what did you like this Kurt stuff? And what about the irony of him doing it on Penn State's campus during a time when they're in the midst of this crazy sex scandal?
Yes, and the craze of
maybe not the scandal, but the actions were
the actions of it. Yes, exactly. Kind of sad. You never even know what happened. That might have been going on that night.
It's fucked up. It's really fucked up.
It is.
You know,
it's 2000. That was about the early wheelhouse of Sandusky.
I think Mark Claire was in the house that night. I'm not gonna lie.
He might have been. Might have been.
Do you think Jesse Montero would have called him Sandusky?
Like Paduski? Like he used to call Putski Paduski?
I don't want no hand job from Sandusky, Monsoon.
Oh, God. Imagine Kurt in like 1988.
I picture Sandusky holding down Gene Okerlund in the showers, Monsoon.
Imagine if Kurt was like in 1988. Jesse would have loved him.
Yeah, he definitely would have been a Jesse favorite.
It would have been awesome. I thought the promos were fantastic. One thing that I really applaud.
Sandusky's got the Red Rooster, the abdominal stretch, Monsoon, coming at him from behind.
You really are a sick fuck sometimes. One thing you got to give Kurt credit for in this stretch is as bad as he's lost matches and he's kind of one loss wise, he's in a kind of a mini slump. At least he's staying entertaining. He's a part of the show you don't want to miss. Now, I'm gathering that these promos are on that infamous tape of greatness. I'm gathering.
Well, now that
You're even dumber than Paduski. Don't drop the soap.
Yes, of course they are. And this was Kurt. Exactly. He had lost both titles at WrestleMania, kicked Bob Backlund to the curb. Still very, without a major feud. You could tell they were kind of starting to line him up for something, and he'd get there. You could tell maybe he was going to be like, we have to get by this stuff that's going on right now, and then we're going to build you up. So here they're just kind of keeping him on TV, letting him continue to get his personality over. And, I mean, it was a good fit to use Big Show here as well. You're reintroducing him as a face again. back to face. After he was a heel for a month and a half. It kind of disappointed me. I thought he was funny. I enjoyed the comedy stuff, but I feel like we just really got him over as a heel. But you know what? Looking back at it, Scott, now the more we've kind of talked about it and analyzed it, did he really go heel? Or was he just telling the truth, and the people didn't like who he was telling the truth about?
No,
he just didn't like The Rock, right? He never really went full heel. He just hated The Rock.
Yeah. He never remember, he never went after any of the baby faces. He just went after Rock.
Right. I mean, he did indirectly because Triple H was pulling the strings to keep him in the match and keep him happy. But I agree. I think it's maybe never. Maybe this was. I mean, it was a turn, but not really. You know. And if you're going to do the official check mark, then yes, you probably call it another turn twice in 2 months.
Yes.
But.
Yeah.
So anyway, to the shock of many, Kurt comes out, cuts his awesome promo here. And then a song we haven't heard in years. Well, actually not that long. It's like a year when Patterson and Briscoe used it as a joke. But
yes.
Real American, Hulk Hogan's theme song fires up. And out comes Big Show, dressed as Hulk Hogan, cuts an awesome promo where he sounds just like him, and then destroys Angle, hits him with a big boot and a leg drop, and Angle kicks out of that a 1, which I thought was awesome. And then Angle gets a little bit of offense, and Show finishes him with the choke slam after he rips the bald cap and everything off. And, I thought this was great. I thought Angle, this is fine to me. I thought Show actually needed the win more in a way. I thought Kurt was already pretty bulletproof. And this really made Show... this made the rounds immediately. This was just awesome stuff, and stuff you didn't see a ton of at this time. Right. Maybe you see this today, it's not as funny, but at the time it like fucking just blew your mind because they never mentioned Hogan, you know? And you have this guy come out and imitate him to a T, and it was great. It just came out of nowhere. It was a great surprise, and to me it's an awesome pay-per-view moment they don't talk about much nowadays. To me it's like a forgotten classic moment. So I was fine with Angle jobbing quick here. Didn't really matter.
And Hogan was kind of in limbo anyway. I mean, and him and Show are buds, which made it even funnier. I wonder if he called Hogan and said, "You mind if I make fun of you?"
I feel like there is something to that. I feel like he did know. Like he did it almost as like an homage, not like to make fun of him.
Yeah. Because he was, I mean, we know more about, I mean, there'd be bigger Hogan news in WCW later in 2000.
Right.
At this point,
Yeah.
I don't know. He was kind of floating aimlessly. I don't even think he was really on the, I mean, he was on the payroll, but I don't think he was on TV much in 2000. Not till the summertime.
It was a little bit of payback, too, because, you know, WCW had been taking shots at them. They mocked Jim Ross and everything else, and why not, you know?
That was worse.
It was way worse. Way worse.
The Oklahoma stuff was just mean.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, but you know what I'm saying. Like, why not take a shot back? Why not take a fun, friendly shot back that isn't mean-spirited?
Yeah. My point is with WWF, if that's what it was, what they were doing was nothing compared to what Ed Ferrara did was just cruel. I mean, and then Vince did it to JR like 7 years later, so or whatever. So, all right. So, yeah, this is kind of just a blip, but I agree. I think it's almost like they placed the promos to keep Kurt hot and keep him funny and keeping him loved by the fans, knowing that he was going to get kind of pseudo-squashed. And it wasn't even really a squash. It was just a short match. You know, there was back and forth. Like you said, Kurt got some moves in. But yeah, Big Show needed it more. But I mean, you can tell now he was getting very plump, even at this point. So it was just beginning, the way he was at this point. So, all right, another head scratcher match. Not as bad as the one previously, the last head scratcher match we talked about, but another tag match where the younger, hotter team had to eat some crow. The third part of that awesome triangle ladder match, we already talked about Edge and Christian, who won. They wrestled earlier. The Hardys, who were involved in the multi-person hardcore match, and now the champions going into that match at WrestleMania that did not have the belts any longer. That was, of course, Devon and Bubba Ray, the Dudley Boys, taking on another new team, heel, that was created by two solo guys floating around aimlessly, and that is, of course, TNA, Test and Albert, with their girl, Trish Stratus.
And this was interesting here because the Dudleys, of course, have been on just a mission to put women and everyone else through tables. And every time they would try and strike on TNA and Trish, she would kind of lure Bubba in. She made out with him and she'd kiss him and taunt him, and he'd kind of get distracted and lose focus, and then they'd get the shit kicked out of him. So he kind of finally found a female weakness for Bubba Ray. You know, there were times where he was put through a table and he was sitting there with the same look on his face and all this weird shit. And, of course, during one great moment, they did an awesome vignette where Trish was on throughout the night, different vignettes on with various pieces of lingerie on, talking all sexually about Bubba and Wood while caressing tables. And it was good. To me, it was the first time where Trish actually kind of made an impression and gave us a little bit something to know who she was and what she was about, more than just this blonde manager with big tits. You know, this is like it finally kind of gave us something.
Right.
So surprisingly enough, TNA win. Kind of another upset on the night.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, this one made sense to me, though, because there's a story behind it. The story was that Bubba and Devon are distracting, or Bubba's distracted by Trish, and it costs them. But in the end, they get the heat because Trish finally gets Wood from Bubba, puts her through the table. But I thought TNA needed the win. And to me, they were a more legit team than Bull and Boss Man. Like, you could actually see something in TNA with Trish. Two young guys. Test had already kind of proven himself. To me, it just made more sense. I also thought, What did you think, too, of the Dudleys basically turning face here? You think it was just a no-brainer with the, they were getting such pops from all the shit.
Yeah, it kind of had to be. Because who do you have on the face side right now? The Hardys and the Acolytes.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
I mean, they're still kind of toting around. Oh, you got Too Cool, too.
And Too Cool. But other than that, you've got X-Pac and Road Dogg, who are kind of whatever the day of the week. And then everybody else are heels. TNA, Bull and Dump, Bull and Boss Dump. And, everybody else is a heel. So
I don't think there's any way to keep them heel at this point anyway.
No,
not if you were going to keep doing the table stuff and all that shit. I just didn't think there was any way you were going to keep them hated.
No, not at all. And they eat the pin. But you don't think? But that doesn't bug you?
No, they've had enough wins. I don't know. I was fine. To me, it fit the story. You had a storyline reason. It wasn't just laying down.
Right.
The whole story was that he's distracted by Trish, and it cost him here, and they got the heat back at the end. By putting the whole thing they wanted was to put Trish through the table. It's almost like they didn't even really completely care about the win.
Right.
So I'm okay. And I thought TNA had more potential than Poulin and Bossman did.
Right. True.
To me, they weren't going anywhere. That
Right
wasn't a
now,
team that was going anywhere. But could you see with this mix, Bull and Big Boss Man winning the tag titles, or even being in a feud?
No.
Could you kind of see TNA there with even if it was with Trish dragging them?
Yes. Yeah. Yep, I agree.
So to me, that and I think you see that it's proven by who they defeat. The Acolytes are over and they get a push, but the Dudleys are like more legitimate. So to me, this win is a bigger one.
Yeah, I think so too. So TNA gets the win, maybe gets himself set up for a future tag title possibility. And the Dudleys, kind of like Taz. Well, no, not like Taz. Kind of like Kurt. It's okay. Move on. They got something hooking them to the fans, and they're okay with it. So next up, JR, we have our, oh my God, 1, 2, 3, fourth title match of the night. The World Wrestling Federation European Championship on the line. We haven't had a pay-per-view with this many title matches in a while. And since we last talked, JR, we have, and we've mentioned it a couple times already, though, we have a new European champion. Tell them who it is.
Till I got tangled up with some Better Business Bureau bullshit, misplaced VIN numbers, customer gouging, allegations of prostitution, semi-automatic weapons found with trace levels of cocaine dust.
Eddie Guerrero.
That's terrible.
You're new. No, I guess that was bad timing, but I didn't really mean it for that. Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero defeated Chris Jericho for the European title on the April 3rd Raw when Chyna turned on Jericho, finally caved into Eddie's Latino heat he had been teasing her with over the past couple of months, and you kind of wondered what was going on with Jericho and Chyna, and she finally stabs him in the back. Mm-hmm. Chyna had been helping Eddie study for his GED test heading in here. He passed, meaning him and Chyna get to go to the prom, and that happened to be right before this pay-per-view. So they come out here in their low rider, celebrating. They pull into the arena. Eddie wearing a tux, Chyna wearing a blue dress, and Eddie actually wrestles in the tux pants and the bow tie.
Yes. Yep. Chyna looked hot. He's
beating back the challenge of Essa Rios.
Who?
Debuted with Lita, otherwise known as Amy Dumas, or Amy Dumas, as some idiots may say, by his side on the 213 Sunday Night Heat. He defeated Gilbert for the light heavyweight title on his first match. Seems to be a running joke with the light heavyweight title. Always a guy's first match. Original gimmick called for Lita to keep coming in during the match with the referee distracted and mimic all the high-flying moves that Rios would do. Flying head scissors and moonsaults. It was kind of an intriguing idea that worked early, but quickly got old. On 313, we mentioned this at WrestleMania, Eddie Guerrero destroyed Lita with a powerbomb on the floor, legitimately injured her shoulder, put her out for a few weeks, and Dean Malenko took Essa Rios' light heavyweight title. Return, Essa challenged Eddie here for his newly won European title. And then, unfortunately, this would pretty much be it for Essa on pay-per-view.
Yes.
Wouldn't last long. A few weeks later, he started berating Lita and abusing her verbally. She turned on him and would join up with a new group that we'll talk about. Essa would stick around through 2000, but was mainly used as fodder of Kurt Angle jokes more than.
Yes, he had a few that were golden.
Yeah. So he had. But I liked Essa Rios. You may also remember him as Mr. Aguila.
Yes.
Back at WrestleMania 14.
14. Yeah. Yep. So the guy's got a WrestleMania payout, and nobody even knew.
Yeah, I didn't mind Essa Rios. I kind of liked him.
No, I didn't either. It was a good buy.
I thought him and Lita had
serviceable.
I thought him and Lita had a good look.
Yeah, they did, and serviceable. Finally, at this point, at least in my opinion, you can tell that Eddie was number 2 on the pecking order of this foursome. The elbow injury didn't help matters for him, but once he healed from it and he was back to normal, Eddie was definitely a player. And thank God for the European title sticking around, huh? Because, not sticking around, not that we're going to get rid of it, but being there, because it actually helped out some of these mids to kind of, have a little juice in their feuds. So definitely the European title was a big help at this point.
Yep.
And helped guys like Eddie instead of just kind of floating aimlessly. What'd you think of the Eddie-China combo?
I liked it better than China and Jericho. To me, that seemed forced.
It was forced, I agree.
This one kind of made more sense, and I thought it gave China a strong personality to play off with, and Eddie really would carry things here. And China was good in the straight role here, you know what I mean? Kind of just smitten with Eddie. So I thought it was well done, and kind of keeps her in the mix, but not overwhelming the guy she's with. I thought in a way she was, even though Jericho's a strong personality, she always seemed to overwhelm him a little bit to me.
Mm-hmm.
I thought with Eddie, she didn't do that with him. He was such a strong sleaze personality.
Yes, yeah, he was a sleaze.
This match isn't bad. I kind of expected more for this one, actually. I remember heading into it. I thought this could be like a show stealer.
Mm-hmm.
They give about 9 minutes, and it's okay. A little bit sloppy. I think Esther Rios was in over his head a little bit.
Yeah, he was. But 8.5 minutes, almost 9 minutes.
Yeah.
So
he fades away
amount of
quick.
time. Yeah.
The title on Eddie's a good thing. He's a guy that looks good with a mid-card title to sleaze around with.
He looks good with gold. Absolutely. My next question is, as we've been discussing this match, I've been trying to figure out where that Will Ferrell quote came from.
Yeah.
Because Will is one of my favorites.
Can't be that big of a favorite if you don't know what that's from.
Well, he's had so many movies. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes the quotes. Is that from the campaign?
No, that is from Eastbound and Down, my friend.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Ashley Schaefer.
Did you see the campaign?
I did. I've seen it multiple times. Because
did you like it?
Yeah, it's been in heavy rotation on Cinemax. So
okay. Yeah,
I've caught it a handful of times.
I liked it. Still, my opinion, his best movie, Anchorman.
Yeah, I don't think many would doubt you on that one.
You like Semi-Pro, though.
I do like Semi-Pro.
Might have to do a Will Ferrell movie cast or article on PlaceToBeNation.com. All right, so there you go. Eddie Guerrero retains the European Championship in a pretty decent match against S.A. Rios. All right, why don't we take a break? When we come back, 2 more matches, both title matches, because, JR, loaded show so far. What do you think?
I'm sorry, did you say something?
What? You right over there?
Sorry, I was distracted by this Yankee game for a minute. Did you
send me Darvish on a no-hitter?
Ugh, fucking you, Darvish.
Ugh. And by the way, I don't know who's pitching for Tampa, but he's shutting the Red Sox out. So
I am also enjoying the Legends of Mid-South DVD cover that's hanging behind Brad Maddox on Raw. Okay, where were we? What were we talking about?
I asked you what you thought. What did you think of the perverted actions
Sorry
of
for
the
that
Penn
Rod
State
Renzi
coaches
moment.
during the Kurt Angle promos? No. I said we're about to take a break.
Yeah.
We got 2 title matches left. Not a bad show so far. The results were a little perplexing, but quality-wise, really good.
Yeah. Yep. Enjoyable show.
Yeah. Again, 2 more matches left. We know how great they look like on paper. We'll see if they deliver, as we have 2 more title matches left. First, though, a word from our sponsors and friends, because
It is worth the wait. All day long. Woo! Traveling. No. 1.5 steps. Come on, Jackie, you walk. Suck my cock. I'll murder your family. You're gone, Jackie Moon. Jackie Moon is ejected from the game. What did I say? You said that's my seat. And one lucky fan will go home with a game ball. That's your head next time. You're a big baby, Jackie. Jackie Moon and the referee really going at it here. I didn't say anything. You said that's my seat. I barely raised my voice. I should call your mother. You need a phone to heaven to do that. Maybe your mom didn't go to heaven. Oh, dear. Oh, my. Oh, no. Okay. Everyone off the floor. Let's go. Tropics, let's go. Go, Jack. It appears a line has been crossed by Father Pat of all people.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
What I'd like to have right now.
Chad, do you ever feel that the world revolves around WWF?
I think you mean WWE there, Barf.
Yeah, whatever, but what about David Crockett?
Well, What about Jimmy Valiant?
I'm gonna get you all until I get you, Paul Jones. Oh.
The Four Horsemen.
We are a family, and we are the best.
The Omni, the Dangerous Alliance.
Please welcome the newest members of the Dangerous Alliance, Arn Anderson and Larry Zbyszko.
Jim Cornette and the Midnight Express.
The Fantastics are putting the U.S. Tag Team title on the line against the Midnight Express.
Main events with actual work rate in them.
Woo! 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 All right!
It's just not fair to Flair.
It's not fair for Flair.
If this is what you're looking for, please check out Where the Big Boys Play podcast, the only pure NWA and WCW supercard podcast out there.
While you were in Hollywood making movies, Thunder Lips, I was winning world titles.
So a guy from across the pond and a dude from the south, Where the Big Boys Play. It's a great podcast. Harvard Chatter, awesome. Check them out. Also check out WrestleChat.net, indeed where it's at. Great message board, plenty of topics to browse, the Still Real to Us podcast, and much, much more. Also, our message board, which is awesome, Bigelow34.proboards.com. It's where PTB really began. Written reviews and a boatload of them. In PTB Nation, we have you to thank for that. Plus the Territory Wars, a whole lot more. If you want a one-touch spot for our show, you can head there. Also head to Stitcher.com and the Stitcher app for all phones and tablets, and more details on that. Also, our good friend Graham Cawthon, the history of WWE.com, the best research site you will ever find. Also, another sponsor to the show, the Wrestling Forum, TWFnews.com. They're a wrestling forum, a blog site, much, much more. The guys at TWF creating a wrestling media nation, many blogs, podcasts, and vodcasts. Yours can be included. They're the official forum of WrestleChat.net and the place to be. We've joined up as well. So check them out, find out what they're about at TWFnews.com. Also, you can check out our show at GetThePointRadio.com. My good friend Mike. It's a great online radio station. If you're on the mood for wrestling, but you want to listen to music, pop it on. He plays music all day long. But you can also check his archive on iTunes, and all of our shows are there as well. Big site.
Hello, everybody. This is Bruno Lauer. I'm on The Place to Be. You're listening to The Place to Be podcast. And I'm going to tell you something right now. If you want to know about our business, this is The Place to Be. The Place to Be podcast. You know why? Because it's like Mama says, it be that way sometimes.
All right, Nation, we are back in the midst of reviewing Backlash 2000 from Washington, D.C. Also been chatting a little Will Ferrell lately.
Yes.
So we got two matches
Talladega
left.
Nights, another good one.
Yes, of course. We got two matches left, two title matches. So we'll wrap shit up, hit some trivia, and then we'll say sayonara.
Yes. All right.
Where we at?
Our next up, another title match. What is our fifth of the evening? And this is the one that everybody was looking forward to. The World Wrestling Federation Intercontinental title on the line. Your champion, the Rabid Wolverine, Chris Benoit, who won the title at WrestleMania, taking on the guy that he pinned, even though he didn't have the title, Y2J Chris Jericho. Of course, this was the match everybody wanted to see.
Oh, Hogan, we coming for you, nigga!
Well, he's connected to Chris Benoit because they had an incredible feud in 1998. So, we talked about swerves and dusty finishes. Well, the biggest dusty finish of the Attitude Era occurred, JR, in between our two vaults. Tell everyone what happened on the April 17th Monday Night Raw.
You've got to be kidding me!
From... Do you remember where it was from?
Penn State.
It was Penn State. So we had April 10th up above from Penn State. That's why I got confused.
Yeah. I'm pretty, April 17th State. Because I remember it on the Raw DVD that I watched recently. April 17th, State College, PA.
Actually, I'm sorry, no. We had April 10th, the other thing. Okay, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we're in Penn State. So, Chris Jericho, Triple H basically issued like an open challenge, and Chris Jericho was placed into the match. After 8 exciting minutes to kick open the show, Chris Jericho became your World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Champion to a monster pop.
Yeah.
Thanks to a Earl Hebner fast count. Earl had been kind of abused and beaten on and taken for granted by the McMahon-Helmsley faction.
Mm-hmm.
Was very happy. The crowd went fucking batshit. Everyone at home was stunned and excited. They came back from break. Triple H was holding Earl in the ring, threatened to fire him unless he reversed the decision. After a lot of badgering, Earl gave in, reversed the decision. Jericho came out, handed back the belt, and then Triple H beat down Earl and fired him anyway. So, a couple things here, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of the angle?
I loved it.
Should Jericho have kept the title?
No.
Even after you heard the pop, would you have called any kind of audible?
No. No. 2 reasons. Number 1, Jericho wasn't ready.
Lay them on me. Okay. Yep.
Number 1, Jericho wasn't ready.
I think that's a bullshit reason. I'm not saying I'm not saying I disagree with you on what you're going to say. I'm just saying I don't think that's a legit reason.
Okay. And number 2, we had a big storyline and a big pay-per-view title match slated for Backlash, and how long are we going to give? How long are we going to hold it? A week?
That is the reason.
Oh, yeah. It would have been a shit
I agree
reign.
with that reason. It would have been a stupid...
I'm not saying Jericho wasn't ready.
Well, you did say that.
I did say he wasn't ready, but not because... It was more the positioning in the company more than his ability. He wasn't ready. It wasn't his time yet. And if and again, everybody pissed and moaned because everybody was super sensitive about half the guys on this roster.
Right.
And this is where all the real beginning of not the beginning, but the real Triple H hatred didn't come into play for another couple of years.
No,
but it was,
not even close.
It was slowly burbling a little bit, but there were some people that probably thought that these guys were getting all dicked around, and again, I keep alluding to a pay-per-view a few months from now that we'll get to, where these guys really get dicked around, everybody gets pissed off, but it would have been a shit title reign because we have a big main event coming up right after this match. And you need to keep Triple H as a bona fide grade A jack-off heel. What a better way to do that than to have one of the most over guys in the company get screwed out of the world title. It was perfect. What do they want to... Oh, do it to Boss Man. Or, not Boss Man. I need a good baby face. Do it to, I don't know, some other, face in the company. That didn't have as much juice as from the underground fans and the IWC as Jericho did. I think if it was done to anybody else, it would have been even worse. I think Jericho was perfect because he was established enough that
it was believable.
Yeah,
which is why I don't agree with your whole he wasn't ready theory. Because I think if they just kept the title on him here, everyone would have been fine. It would have been a surprise because I don't think anyone expected it to happen, but that doesn't say anything about him.
Okay.
I think he was ready. I think they could have done it here. They couldn't because they had the Rock thing set up, and that's what people really wanted to see, and I think everyone kind of got lost in that moment.
Right.
And maybe that's why it was a bad idea. But I think it did add a lot of heat to Triple H and really push along the story of how power-hungry they were.
Yeah,
really
but that's the whole point.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, I agree with you on your overarching point. I just didn't agree with that aspect of it.
Okay. But
yep.
Oh, my last point. No, I'll just want to say that he was used. He was used. His growing popularity with the company is what made it even better.
Yeah.
So if anything, Jericho should be complimented,
right?
Because he was over enough that he was put in that slot.
Yep.
Instead of, I don't know, Big Show or some other, face in the company that maybe people didn't care as much about winning it, like Jericho.
Right. And also part of it, too, if you remember, the APA played a role in that match as well.
Yep. Yes, they did. Yep.
All right. Also kind of a big part of this, Scott, if you had to remember, the week before on Nitro, they had restarted the whole New Blood era with Eric Bischoff and Vince Russo were put back into Power. So I think this is a little bit of a fuck you from WWF. Like, oh yeah, you want to reboot and think you're gonna go for another, turnaround, another ratings bonanza like you did last time with Vince Russo? Well, here you go. We're gonna kick off with this monster title change segment and everything else, and
of a guy that you treated like garbage. And look how over he is.
And it's funny because if you look at it, the rating from that quarter hour, as that match was going on, the Open of Raw was a 5-9 to Nitro's 2-2. The match ended. Oh, you're laughing now. The match ended into the next quarter hour, the final minute. Raw got a 6-7. Nitro dropped to a 1-8 during that match. Nitro rebounded a little bit in the rest of the night, up and down.
Right.
Later in the show, during The Rock and Linda McMahon's major announcement, which we'll talk about in a minute, Raw jumped to a 7-7. Nitro fell to a 1-7. Now, I think that may have been Nitro's overrun, looking at it. So I think that was the top of the 10 o'clock hour.
Right.
But unopposed, here are the quarter hours for Raw the rest of that night. 7-7, 7-0, 7-1, 6-8, 7-6 on the overrun.
Yeah.
And that is fucking absurd.
Yeah, it was crazy. Was that when they redid all the titles?
Yes, they stripped all the titles
and started over.
So stupid. How to devalue your titles even more?
Just take them away from everybody.
Oh, let's just strip them all, make them all vacant, whatever. And they were in the middle of some decent pushes, too, for guys.
Right.
Fucking stupid.
Booker was just getting his
they were a mess.
Push going.
They were a mess. They were... and that was another friggin'... Oh, here we go again, we just fired both these guys less than a year ago, and now they're the saviors.
That's when Bischoff gave up the hair dye, right? Didn't he come out, he was all gray.
Makes no sense.
Jericho made him. Hogan made him gray.
Let's talk about this match quickly here. So, Chris Benoit defends his IC title against Jericho. And this starts the rivalry, Scott.
Yep.
Goes on for the rest of this year into January. 15 minutes.
Awesome.
Benoit retains by disqualification. He wins the match. It was great. It was a great way to kickstart this feud.
I didn't like the DQ. I thought this is the kind of feud where a pin didn't hurt anybody.
No, I like the DQ.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't mind it.
I'm not saying I didn't mind it, but
it was clear that it was part one of the story. So to me...
Yeah, that's true, too.
To me, it's fine. Benoit... does Benoit need to win by DQ? No. But it's great that he does.
Yeah.
It's like...
Yeah. I mean, getting the pin with the belt shot wouldn't have been...
Jericho... It was more like Jericho kind of blew his chance. And the referee saw it. I don't know. I didn't mind it.
Okay.
If this was it, and the next month it just moved along and Benoit fought someone else, maybe.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like a cop-out to me because I felt like they had a story to tell.
There was more to come.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But a great match, and we'll get into these guys more over the next couple of months, but...
I believe Mr. Keith called them the Canadian Chris's. Was that him that came up with that name?
Yes,
the C-squared? The Canadian Chris's. Remember that one stretch, though, in the first couple minutes? They're just chopping the fucking crap out of each other.
Yeah, they beat each other up, man. These guys were legit.
Oof. Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. And more would come from them. See what I'm saying about this is what I'm saying that Kresge had to do. He had to lay out the guys and look at the roster after kind of the mishmash mumbo jumbo of WrestleMania and kind of go, all right, you're going with him, you're going with him, you're going with him, you two go with these two. Laid it out.
Yeah,
and
this was a pairing that just made all the sense in the world.
Exactly. Yep.
It was a no-brainer.
Yep. And Chris Benoit retains the Intercontinental Championship, but of course, this is just the beginning of these two. All right. Time now for the...
Hey, PTB Nation, it is now time for the Rob Houston Memorial Hacksaw Jim Duggan Update.
Vincent Kenny McMahon Jr. here with your Hacksaw Jim Duggan WCW Rob Houston Memorial Fuckface Update on April 26, 2000 in front of a robust 2,500 fans in Glen Falls, New York. Jim Duggan defeated the Wall, and that's it. Criscolo, how you doing?
I'm great, VKM. How are you on this Monday evening?
Not too bad. Did you have a nice weekend at the party I wasn't invited to?
It was a blast. You were missed.
I drove by in my limo. I saw everything going down. No one invited me in.
I apologize. I thought
I saw you macking on some chick in the.
It wasn't my party.
I saw you macking on some chick in the driveway.
Oh yeah, well yes, I was.
I saw her slap you across your stupid face.
I thought that was you. Could have used the help a little, but hey, look, not my party, and you don't blame me. But well, we could have used a little extra gin, so maybe if Claire had popped the trunk, maybe you had a little extra something going on there.
Chris Cola, do you know how much money I make?
You make more than
enough to the point where I don't have to sit here and listen to your stupid story. So, beyond that party that I was not rudely invited to this weekend, there's more major occurrences in the world of wrestling, Chris Colo. Are you aware of this?
Yes, I am.
Oh, yeah? Okay, what are they then, if you're so aware of them?
No, this is the part where you're supposed to say it anyway.
Oh, okay.
Don't you understand these interviews? I know you're not in them, but come on.
All right, go ahead, though. I'm curious what you thought it was, Mr. Know-It-All. Showing me up all the time.
Showing you up all the time. You know what? I'm perplexed.
All right, here's what happened. There was a house show in the middle of fucking Podunk somewhere by this rival promotion that you may have heard of that just popped up. TNA?
Thought they were one of your tag teams.
Formerly, yes. Now, Test and Albert now run this promotion, I heard, down in Florida somewhere.
Florida.
And they're running amok. And I heard they're having some serious issues. Word just came up to me. Damian Sandow came into my office and let me know what was going on. Matt Rotello let him in. Creeped him the fuck out. Might have helped that Rotello was only wearing khaki shorts and suspenders and his sandals with socks. Kind of an odd look. So they came in and they brought me this tape. Apparently TNA had a backstage meeting. And I have the footage from that meeting. Have you heard anything about this, Chris Colo? Are you out to lunch completely?
I've heard nothing about this party. I mean, nothing about this event.
You ever read about this on WrestleChat.net?
Yes, I did read about it. I know what happened.
You just said you didn't know.
Well, because I'm no-selling it, so you can say
Oh, my fucking Lord. Will you just play it straight with me, Chris Colo?
Trying to give
me the straight dope.
Here. I'm frazzled that you didn't come to the party, that's why.
Oh, God. All right, anyway, so I got this tape. Here we go. This is backstage at the TNA house show. Dixie Carter talking to her roster.
Would you like me to just die?
No. I would rather you be alive.
Then shut up.
Alright.
Christ's sakes.
No one told you to get this angry.
I'm sorry, do you want me to turn the fucking globe around like Superman did in the first movie?
No.
I'll go back to being 27 like the rest of you. Jesus.
I'm 32. Still 8 years younger than you. But we would be okay.
I'm sorry. I'll get born in 1980 like the rest of you assholes.
Rich was an asshole. That's what we really need to say.
I'm sorry the 70s was such a shitty decade. Let's just erase it.
Wasn't there.
That seems like a pretty contentious meeting, Chris Colo.
Yeah, it was.
I heard that's Chris Sabin. It kind of sounds like you, though. Are you guys related?
No.
Are you his father?
I'm not. No, I'm not. No.
Grandfather?
No.
Anyway. Just let me know if I gotta write that many checks like I used to do with Heyman. Other than that, I don't give a fuck. Alright, bitch, I'm out of here.
See ya.
Perk the fuck up. You sound like Ron Perth out here.
Ugh.
Think this is the 1996 Slammies? Who the fuck? Claire! Why did you make me have Ron Perth present at the Slammies? That made no sense. We should have got Dick Ebersol. There's a real man. Me and Ebersol used to run this fucking country. They got these fucking Democrat pukes handing money out left and right. Jobbers like the Bushwhackers and the Orient Express run this country now. Remember the main eventers used to run America? Me, Salvatore Bellomo, Big John Studd, Yokozuna. Real men. Now these stupid assholes, these bums. Like Vader, these fat pig Democrats. Mick Foley, these losers run the country. It's a joke. Criscolo and these other Democrat pricks. Their handouts, stealing money out of my coffers. I'm going to have a dual interview with Vince and RJ Brewer one week, I think, on the show.
What kind of... All right, first off, I've never said anything wrong to Vince. You know, I have badmouthed El Gigante at times, so he has a right to get pissed off at me. But I've been nothing but respectful to Vince, to VKM, since he's been doing the fuckface updates. All right, number one, let's clarify. Whose party was it on Saturday? It was yours. And he's giving me shit over the invitations. Me. Number two, he must not be listening. He hasn't probably listened to the show very long if he thinks I'm the one handing out the money. And number three, he's such a badass. Why don't you just fucking show up? Why don't you just show up? Why don't you just walk through the door, clear the clouds because, you know, he's the man. You should have blamed him for the fucking rain.
Do you have any idea what Chris Sabin was talking about in that clip?
No, I don't. Oh. I didn't realize Chris Sabin was that old. Is he 27?
I don't know. I don't know what was going on.
Who's he yelling at? Jesus Christ. The guy's pissed. Who's that voice in the background?
Was
that Bruce Pritchard before he got released? Wow. That was insane. What kind of lunatic would ramp like that? God. I mean, I know shit went down at that show in Missouri, but for God's sakes, relax. God almighty. All right, time for the main event. Two rich guys. The World Wrestling Federation Championship. In Anaheim, contested in a four-way, which people were perplexed at. Now, here in D.C., we have the match everybody expected 28 days earlier. Your champion, still the Game, Triple H, who would become the first heel to walk out of a WrestleMania as champion. First time ever. Taking on the new number one contender and the guy who everyone thought was going to walk out of Anaheim as champion. The Rock. So here's your WrestleMania money match 28 days late. But a lot has happened, JR, in the last 28 days.
Well, McMahon Helms is running amok. Rock never seems like he's going to get a fair shake. Cut off at every turn. Put in these impossible situations. After the whole fiasco with Triple H and Chris Jericho, it looked like we're finally on for this match. But again, everyone's assuming, all right, Triple H is going to have 19 guys in his corner. Rock's alone. On 4/17, Lyndon McMahon came out to defend The Rock and made a huge announcement. Since Triple H had backup at Backlash, Rock would have his as well, in the form of Steve Cold Stone Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Took a break from playing basketball with midgets to come be in The Rock's corner. Everyone was shocked that Austin would return so soon, but it was revealed it would just be a one-time affair since he wasn't fully rehabbed yet. On 4/27, we get a pre-tape segment of Austin commandeering the DX Express bus and destroyed it by dropping a huge freeway barricade on it. Big explosion. I thought that was kind of cool. So the buy rates popping was in play big time here. You're finally getting your Rock Triple H title match, and now Steve Austin's in play. So, Scott, we'll ask you your customary 3 questions. 1, should this have all happened at WrestleMania? 2, at the time when you heard this, did you think Austin was back for good, the way they played it up? 3, correct result.
No, yes. No, I don't think they should have done it at WrestleMania. I've changed my mind on that opinion. I agreed with it. I thought it should have been a WrestleMania at that moment. But over time, now in 12 years, combination of you and I discussing it over time and with other people, that WrestleMania was already set in stone. And apparently Austin wasn't even ready quite yet. He needed these extra 4 weeks to kind of be a little more mobile to do something. Number 2, it was evident when the glass broke at the end of this match and he came out, he was not ready. He looked a little paunch, a little bit of a beer gut. He was walking very slowly. One time he fell on his knees and needed the chair to help himself up off the ground, off the canvas.
Yeah, he looked awful.
So he was not ready whatsoever. So the answer is no. He definitely was not. And number 3, this result was absolutely correct. You needed, after months and months of the faction getting everything their way and The Rock just getting screwed and screwed. In the whole scope of things, JR, it ended up turning out to be exactly what The Rock needed.
Right.
And then he gets the people's elbow, and I think he hits a rock bottom. I'm not sure if the people's elbow was the finisher. Yes,
Yeah,
it was.
it always was.
Yeah, it was. And it was just under 2 minutes. And
20 minutes, you mean?
I mean 20 minutes. And 2 minutes. It took Austin 2 minutes to get to the ring.
Right.
And
wait, did you feel gypped that did you thought when they announced this and they said the stipulation and all that, did you think he was going to be out there the whole match?
No.
Really?
No. When Austin...
I definitely thought he was going to be in his corner for the whole match.
Really?
At least at ringside, maybe commentating or sitting at ringside or something. I really didn't think he would only come out for the last minute. I'm curious. I'm curious how many people felt kind of gypped. And it's an awesome match and moment, so it's hard to get too mad. But if people were paying to see Austin, it was kind of promoted that he was going to be in Rock's corner.
Yes.
Not come out in the last minute.
Well, don't forget, Vince said the whole thing that Austin's plane was quote-unquote, wink-wink, delayed.
I know.
So they
but
gave
that's
a
all
reason.
fake.
Yeah, well, no, I know, but at least
My point is, if you paid, they can justify it all they want. If you paid to see Austin, you didn't get him for more than a minute and a half here.
I think... So you think that if they were going to do it this way, he should have been a surprise?
Well, I would never advocate that, because that'd be fucking horseshit, jackass, asinine stuff to make him a surprise. I mean, you might as well get the money.
Right.
I'm just saying I would have had him out there the whole match.
I think...
Everyone knows he's coming. Why do you have to do the big glass that he comes out at the end thing? I mean... So what if Rock won 3 minutes earlier and he didn't need to come out? We just wouldn't have seen him? If you're looking at it from the storyline perspective. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just thought if they're going to advertise him, then have him out there.
Mm-hmm. I think part of it was that if Austin was out there, then Rock and Triple H might have been overshadowed. The fans would not have been paying attention to the match.
I know all the reasons. Maybe just promote then that Austin is in the building and he's going to be involved. He vows to be involved. Mm-hmm. Something like that. Don't promote him to be in The Rock's corner. And then
not be in his corner.
And he's not in his corner. Because you're expecting to see him for the duration of the match.
Mm-hmm.
Just say, hey, fans, Linda McMahon comes out. Rock, I know you're going to get screwed, but I'm bringing someone to the building. Maybe he'll help you out. He only usually looks out for himself. I don't know. He'll be there, and he may get involved. Now you set up a tease. Now you can say, all right, I get why he doesn't come out to the end. But look, I'm nitpicking. It's an awesome match. It's a great show. But that stuff is what adds up. And, it's like a relationship where you can kind of overlook things for a while and because things are so good. And you kind of file it in the back of your head, and then when shit goes real bad 2 years later, you look back and you're like, wow, I can see the patterns here. Like here's Survivor Series 99, they lied about Austin, and Backlash, they did this with Austin, and then this happened, and that. You kind of start picking apart where things start to go wrong. And to me, this is just kind of, all right, I can deal with it for now, but don't keep it up kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. I think they were concerned, even through the build, going back to, December, I guess, that Rock and Triple H, as great a match as it was probably going to be and ended up being, that they still had a doubt that these guys could bring the buy rate and the money of a big pay-per-view. And they wanted to have that little... they wanted their cake and eat it too. They wanted to give The Rock and Triple H the stage on their own for the main event, but wanted to know that they had their money man in the back pocket just in case.
Yeah,
now,
well, that's why.
Do I agree with you? Do I agree with you? Do I agree with you that they were kind of painted into a corner? Because I think if Austin was there for the whole match, that he would have taken away from the.
No, so my whole scenario is just don't advertise him to be at that match. Just say he's going to be in the building.
Right.
That he's going to appear at some point.
Right.
You could have advertised an interview.
You know what?
He's going to confront Vince McMahon about what he did at WrestleMania. And then you have him come out at the end anyway.
I hate to say this. You could have done... Think about this. Kind of could have pulled a WrestleMania 9 and had Austin advertised for something else.
Right, that's what I just said.
Yeah. Well, I was about to say, and then you took it out of my mouth anyway. But, yeah, make it a WrestleMania... Where his
right.
Yeah, where his appearance at the show has nothing to do with the main event.
Exactly. Or you say he's going to commentate the main event. Do something like that, where you put him at because that would have been fun to hear him on commentary.
So.
And it was Matt Moore, by the way, pitching for Tampa. Just do a complete game shutout.
Yeah. So you could have got a game in. And you still lost 3-0?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right, because Bobby Parnell just blew the save.
Yes.
Great night by all. Yay!
But yeah, the match is awesome. Do you think it would have, if you put this in Mania, how much do you think it turns Mania around?
I think it helps a little. I don't think the addition of Foley and Big Show made that big a deal. We talked about this at the...
Yeah, I'm talking this match.
Right, but my point is...
This package, not just a singles match. If this exact match was at Mania, the booking and all that...
Mm-hmm. It would have been huge.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Do you think it turns that Mania around?
Yeah.
Okay.
But do they sacrifice money at this show to do that? Because we've talked about the whole point of doing this here was to kind of spike a secondary show, knowing Mania...
It depends what you put on. I mean, if you just do a rematch, you might probably be okay.
Do you push up every match that's slated, and the match you have next month you do here?
I would have maybe done something...
Or a different gimmick here.
I would have maybe done like a 3 or 4-way here or something. Maybe you do the Big Show thing, and instead of Foley, you throw someone else in here. You know?
Okay.
I don't know. There's a lot of ways it could have gone.
I understand your point. You're looking at it from a consumer perspective.
I'm just saying, like, this felt like more like a Mania moment than a Backlash moment. That's all.
I agree. I've said that all along. But I've
maybe you have Vince turn here, you know, and Triple H regains it. And then you still do the same finish at the next month. I mean, either way, Rock gets a 1-month run. It's just a month earlier.
Right.
So maybe Vince stays with Rock. He wins the title at Mania with Austin coming in. And then you kind of play it up like Austin thwarted Vince's plan once he reveals it in Backlash. And then Triple H wins the belt back there. But whatever. Here nor there. Overall, Scott, what's your thoughts on the show?
It's tremendous. It is a fantastic pay-per-view. Highly recommend it. Probably have to get it on tape on eBay or Amazon. I don't think there's DVDs. It's a great show. More for the work rate. Match results, as we mentioned, a couple are a little perplexing, but work rate and match quality wise,
better than Mania, you think?
Show. Yes.
Match for match?
Yeah. Because Mania, you've got the triangle ladder match, a little bit from the triple threat with Benoit and Jericho and Kurt. The rest were kind of This show is much more consistent match for match than Mania.
Yeah, there's really no stinkers on this show.
No, there really isn't.
No. So, all right.
Again, the results were a little weird, but not the quality of the matches themselves.
No, very good show. Excellent main event. And the promotion continues to chug along. Nitro is hurting. WCW is hurting. ECW is just kind of there. Vince is on top of the world. XFL, NBC union's been announced. WWF New York is open. Public company. Network TV. Making millions. Popping bottles. Things are looking good. No feedback this week. It was a busy weekend. I honestly just didn't have time to put the thread up, so I apologize to anyone who wanted to chat Backlash. Feel free to throw your comments up on the Facebook page.
Yes.
All right, Scott, we got trivia. Let's hit that shit. And we'll wrap. Who you got?
We've got... Let me make sure I have this correct. Jeremy Nichols taking on Mr. Everett.
He has a first name, Ryan Everett.
Ryan Everett. Mr. Everett. And Ryan Schmauch will be taking on Mike Poulin.
I feel like by you doing that mocking name, you're not really putting over what a contest this is going to be, because we don't usually plug trivia.
Trying not to. I wanted to
well,
set up the surprise.
Look, you know what? Everyone knows they're pre-recorded. To me, this one needs the hype.
Okay.
You need to hear Poulin and Schmauch, because there may be people that skip the trivia. I don't know.
I hope not.
If they do, this is one you need to hear, because these two guys go toe-to-toe. In 2 years, it's probably the best matchup we've had. So highly recommend tuning into that trivia and all of the other ones. So listen to those two matches. We'll be back to wrap things up. All right, Nation, we are back with another great episode. Not just another great episode, another great portion of trivia here. Of course, a continuation of round 2, PTB Trivia Tournaments 2013. And we have two guys that advanced from last week. Let's bring them in, Scott, and then you can tell us how they got here. First up is one of the OGs of the PTB Nation, as we like to say, and that is Mr. Jeremy Nichols. Jeremy, how you doing?
Always a pleasure to be on the show, boys. I'm doing pretty good.
All right, and your opponent, the young upstart, Mr. Ryan Everett. Ryan, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, you guys are both familiar with the rules. You've been through this. We're going to go easy, medium tonight. 10 seconds, 10, then 20, then 20. Obviously, answer must be in full and correct. And Scott's going to determine who goes first. Snake order.
All right, well, just before we do that, we'll let you know Mr. Nichols, of course, took out Mr. Farrell in the first round. And Mr. Everett, as I look back, Steve Riddle was his first victim in the first round. So, Mr. Nichols, you will go first in the snake order. And then, of course, 2 in a row from Mr. Everett, and so on and so forth. First 1 to 3 moves on to the next round. And, of course, 1 easy and 2 medium. So, Mr. Nichols, pick a number between 1 and 140.
I will take number 25.
Okay. All right. 10 seconds. In 2005 WWE, Antonio Thomas and Romeo Roselli had a very brief run as which over-the-top tag team?
I
need an answer.
I'm going to say Deuce and Domino.
Nothing for you.
It was the Heartthrobs.
Damn it.
It's a tricky year, 2000. Seemed a lot of people get tripped up in that 05, 06-ish range. All right, Mr. Everett.
Weird tag teams.
Yeah, you have the opening here.
All right, let's go with number 4.
Number 4. Okay. 10 seconds. Which type of bird accompanied The Undertaker to the ring at WrestleMania 9?
A vulture?
Yes!
All right, Mr. Everett takes a 1-0 lead and now moves into the mediums.
Okay, move on to the mediums. So, that means, Mr. Everett, pick a number between 1 and 191.
I'll go with 34.
Okay. All right, you have 20 seconds. Which announcer had his head shaved by Jeff Jarrett in August of 1998 and eventually gained revenge at SummerSlam, aiding X-Pac in shearing Jarrett's locks?
Would that be the Fink?
All right, 2-0. Mr. Nichols, got some work to do.
Yes, you're still in the easy, so you still pick from 1 to 140.
I'll take 100.
Okay. Number 100. Okay. You still have 10 seconds. Besides Dynamite Kid, Davey Boy Smith had 2 other regular tag team partners during his WWF stints. Name them.
Owen Hart and Lex Luger.
Oh, yeah!
All right, 2-1. Back to the mediums now.
So we are now out of the easy for both of you. Mr. Nichols, number between 1 and 191.
Give me 150.
150, okay. Okay. 20 seconds. What was the stable name of the ECW Originals during their run in TNA in 2007? 20 seconds. Ten seconds.
I got nothing. I got a blank.
It was EV 2.0.
Damn it.
Tough luck of the draw tonight, Mr. Nichols. All right, Mr. Everett, you can put it away here with a win. With a
pick another number.
Answer.
I will go with 88.
88. Okay. All right. For the win, 20 seconds. What's the name of the indie promotion that our good friend Jay Wimette consistently promotes on our show?
Oh, I know it's in New York.
10 seconds.
APW. I don't know.
To do worse than Josh Richard.
Leaving the door open for Mr. Nichols. It was 2CW, of course. 2CW.
Okay.
All right, Ryan,
But,
you can still go to 3, but Jeremy's now guaranteed a chance to at least send it to overtime.
All right. I'll go with 2.
2. Okay. All right. 20 seconds. 5 women, including the winner from the inaugural televised Diva Search in 2004, were eventually hired to the company. Name 2 of them.
Christy Hemme and Maria.
Pretty good.
Of course, the others are Michelle McCool, Amy Weber, and Joy Giovanni.
Okay. Mr. Nichols, you need 2 in a row to force overtime.
Okay, Mr. Nichols, make your choice.
I will take number 88.
Okay, number 88. You're down 3-1, so you need the next 2 to win. You have 20 seconds. What is the name of the DVD that Joe Dombrowski produced about the Bret Hart Shawn Michaels issue in 1997?
Oh, shit.
10 seconds.
I got nothing.
It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal. You get nothing. You lose.
The Montreal Ferry was the answer, and that means Mr. Ryan Everett has completed the upset over Mr. Jeremy Nichols, one of the favorites to win. Ryan Everett is in the Elite Eight. Jeremy, tough going. Yeah, just tough luck of the draw. That's what it comes down to, really, is that luck of the draw.
I had a bad night. It's the regulars are the ones that are getting knocked out this year. It's weird.
It's all the upstarts. It's all that lucky number. So
all the young guys.
Mr. Everett advances. Mr. Nichols, we'll talk to you next year. Of course, you can catch up all of Jeremy's great work over at PlaceToBeNation.com as well. Mr. Everett will be in touch for your Elite Eight. Scott, let's take a break. We'll come right back. This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at PlaceToBeNation.com, your pop culture home. All right, Place to Be Nation, we are back with another great second-round matchup here in the 2013 Place to Be Podcast Trivia Tournament. We have 2 guys that weren't in last year's tournament and have advanced here to round 2, and they square off tonight. First, we'll bring in Mr. Ryan Schmauch. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, and his opponent, the one and only, the great Mr. Mike Poulin. Michael, how are you?
Good evening, everybody.
All right. Scott, tell us how these 2 gentlemen advanced here.
Well, Mr. Schmauch defeated the king of Scranton, Pennsylvania, who saw Derek Jeter firsthand over the weekend, Mr. Neil Trauma. And Mr. Poulin, you kind of made us a little sad because you knocked out King James Mander.
Mm-hmm. So it'd be King Mike Poulin now.
All right, so Mr. Schmauch, you will go first, and Mr. Poulin, you will go second in this first go-around, and then, of course, we will snake. First to 3 moves on, 1 easy, 2 medium. So, Mr. Schmauch, pick a number between 1 and 140.
66.
Okay. Okay. 10 seconds. Who did Booker T defeat at Judgment Day 2006 to become King of the Ring and creating his King Booker character?
Bobby Lashley.
Pretty good.
All right. Quick and easy. 1-0.
1-0.
Poulin, your turn to try and tie it up.
And I will do the same as I did last time and pick number 1.
Okay.
That's the first number.
Okay. Ten seconds. Which longtime jobber was given a minor push as a Goldberg parody character beginning in late 1998?
That'd be Mr. Dwayne Gill, a.k.a. Gilbert.
All right. One up. We move to the mediums.
Quickly, out of the easies. Mr. Poulin. Pick a number between 1 and 191.
We'll go with 1 again.
Okay. Okay. 20 seconds.
Alrighty.
Has Steve Austin ever defeated Bret Hart on pay-per-view?
Yes, Revenge of the Taker in your house by disqualification.
Very nice. High five.
That extra credit detail there. Very nice.
All right, Mr. Schmauch. Try and tie it up here. Pick a number.
I'm going to go with 90.
90. Okay. All right. 20 seconds. In storyline, who no-showed the 1994 Royal Rumble due to illness from eating too much?
Russell Vessel likes this answer. Bastion Booger.
Oh, yeah!
All right. 2-2, and you guys are cruising.
Excellent. All right. Mr. Schmauch, pick a number. This will clinch overtime, at least overtime for you.
4.
4. Okay.
All right, Mr. 4.
Okay. Mr. 4. All right. To at least clinch a tie, 20 seconds. Who won both the U.S. title in his first SmackDown match and the Intercontinental title in his first Raw match?
Carlito.
Pretty good.
Christ, you guys don't even have to fucking think. Jesus. All right.
Very impressive.
Yeah, this is the
But
best.
the pressure's on you, Mr. Poulin.
So far.
Yes.
Alrighty.
You need to get this right to force overtime, or Mr. Schmauch moves on to the next round. Pick a number between 1 and 191.
A lot of pressure.
We'll go with 25.
25. Okay. 20 seconds to force overtime. Who inducted Hulk Hogan into the WWE Hall of Fame?
Sylvester Stallone?
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Wow. Shove that one back in Derek Cornette's face. Nailing the Hall of Fame answer. Good job. All right, we're heading to overtime. That means we move to the hard questions.
Yep.
This is the first time we've had to do that this year?
No, we've had a couple overtime so far. But
Yeah.
I don't think we've had this efficient of an overtime.
No, not
Where
really.
I think
Neil Jim,
the
my
total
match
combined
being
answer
drama.
time is like 4 seconds. So
Yeah, exactly. Very efficient winners. I appreciate
It is the first overtime of round 2, though. We can say that.
Yes. Yep. Okay, you guys, 30 seconds now, so use it. It's a lot longer than you think.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Yes.
No, that's not an answer. What kind of freezer bars are they? No, I'm just kidding. No, it's not an answer. All right, again, guys, you have 30 seconds, and use it. It's longer than you think, but because these questions are not easy. They definitely define the word hard. All right. Mr. Poulin.
Goody, yes. And I will go with number 1 again.
Okay. Number 1. 30 seconds. Who was the final ECW champion when the brand shut down on February 16th, 2010?
Ezekiel Jackson.
Pretty good.
Run out of clips.
Wow, you guys are machines. All right. Mr. Schmauch, you must get this correct to move on. If you get it wrong, Mr. Poulin moves on. Pick a number between 1 and 202.
Well, to clarify, move on with this overtime. Not.
No.
88.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you said move on for both of them, so I want to make sure it was
Oh, sorry.
differentiated.
Yes. What's the number?
88.
88. Okay. All right. 30 seconds.
Oof.
At the 1990 WWF New Japan Summit, which legendary gaijin did Hulk Hogan defeat in the main event?
Stan the Lariat Hansen.
Holy shit.
Yes! Yes!
Wow. I have the answer in front of me, and I didn't know that
It
one.
was supposed to be Terry Gordy, but he decided not to want to job to Hogan.
Foxy, we might be here all night.
Oh, my God. Wow.
If you got that
Nice
one,
job.
I don't know.
I don't know. All right, Mr. Schmauch, it's up to you again.
I'm going to go with 86.
86. Okay.
Wow. All right. There's another test.
30 seconds. Like you need that much. Primetime Wrestling premiered on January 1st, 1985. Which two men served as the co-hosts of the inaugural episode?
Jack Reynolds and Jesse the Body Ventura.
We're never going home.
I didn't even know that one.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Schmuck is a beast.
All right. Mr. Poulin, though, you are no slouch. You get this right, we go on to the next overtime. You get it wrong, Mr. Schmauch moves on to the next round. Pick a number.
Alrighty. 14.
Okay. Suspense is building here. JR, I tell you, this might be one of the best matchups ever.
Yeah, I think it already is. What number was that?
14.
14. Okay.
14. 30 seconds.
Okay.
What unique stipulation was in place for the Rick Martel versus Shawn Michaels match at SummerSlam 1992?
Neither man could hit the other man in the face.
Very nice. High five.
All right, we roll on.
Mr. Poulin, another number.
15.
Okay.
I run out of questions.
Yeah. All right. 30 seconds. Need to fix my document here for a minute. Wow, this is like one of the longest typed ones. All right. When the Radicals left WCW for the WWF, there were 4 other WCW stars that initially rumored to have requested their release, but ended up staying down in Hotlanta. Name one of the other 4.
Rey Mysterio?
Oh, my Lord. Billy Kidman, Rey Mysterio, Conan, and Shane Douglas were the 4.
That was right off the top of my head, too.
Oh, I can't believe you got that one. All right, Mr. Schmuck, to stay alive.
24.
Okay, 30 seconds. You get it right, we move on to the next overtime. Get it wrong, Mr. Poulin moves on to the next round. In 1998, which bizarre tag team started carrying foam belts and proclaimed themselves the tag team champions of the universe? $20 seconds.
The Headbangers?
Holy crap.
Very nice. High five.
Wow, I didn't think you were going to get it.
Wow.
And I was going to yell at you because I think we talked about it with Glenn Ruth.
Yes.
I don't think I've listened to that one yet.
Oh, man. All right.
If you
here we
Big
go.
East fans, this is like UConn Syracuse from a couple years ago. Wow. All right. Mr. Schmauch, pick a number.
30.
Okay. All right. 30 seconds. At WrestleMania 7, Bobby Heenan had to leave the broadcast booth on 2 separate occasions. Name one of his replacements.
Scott Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Play the song. Yes.
Mr. Poulin, you've won.
No, I haven't.
Damn
I
it.
call shenanigans.
All right. So, where are we at? Poulin. Got to get this one right.
Yeah.
I do, huh?
Yes, you do.
16.
16. Okay.
The virgin hearts are getting raped right now.
Yes. All right, 30 seconds. On the 1/10/2000 episode of Monday Nitro, Jeff Jarrett faced 3 wrestling legends best known for their stints in the 1980s WWF. Name one of them.
Tito Santana.
Every time I read these, I wish we put name 3. Tito Santana, Jimmy Snuka, and George the Animal Steele. All right, a new round. Kick it off, Mr. Poulin.
17.
Loves the low numbers. Okay. 30 seconds. Which wrestler turned announcer left the booth to defeat Lord Steven Regal for the WCW TV title in 1994?
I just watched this show a few weeks ago, and it was Larry Zbyszko at Slamboree 94.
Pretty good.
All right, Mr. Schmuck. Need it to stay alive. I'm sure you'll get it easily.
92.
92.
Actually, there's one on here I'm pretty sure you guys will not get, so I'm hoping that one comes up soon.
All right. Mr. Schmuck, let's get it right to stay alive. 30 seconds. Which three-man team won the first ever TNA pay-per-view match in June 2002?
Triple X.
20 seconds.
It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal. You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Finally! It was the Flying Elvises, Sonny Siaki, Jimmy Yang, and Jorge Estrada. Gentlemen, my hat's off to you if I were wearing a hat. That was an amazing battle. Mr. Schmauch, you have nothing to be ashamed of. You had a run better than...
No, you don't, sir.
Yeah, you did better than anyone who even won last year. You destroyed them, so... you are definitely going to be one of the heavy favorites coming in next year. Mr. Poulin advances. We'll be in touch. Scott, let's take a break. Scott, I'm still on the edge of my seat, sweating.
Wow. I'm going to give them their due. Mr. Schmauch, Mr. Poulin.
What a battle. I mean,
wow.
You know, if Schmauch gets anyone else, he's probably in the next round.
Yeah.
But the one guy that could shut him down. Poulin puts himself on the map as a legitimate player.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of the bracket, major upset. I mean, not major. We just don't really know the guy, Ryan Everett. But Nichols goes down. Nichols had the best percentage of answers correct last year. Bombs this year.
Yep.
Round 2. So 6 of the Elite 8 are in, and we'll wrap up round 2 on Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm. The thing that made that round, JR, so stunning, that matchup, is that, you know, these guys we were thinking to ourselves at first, like, wow, they have the answers? These guys were answering in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, they had them right there already.
Yeah.
So when
crazy.
this match took... Some of them barely even let me get the question out.
Yeah, they were just beasts. Trivia beasts, and
amazing.
Schmauch will be heard from again next year, something tells me. Yeah. So 2 more matches to come Wednesday. As far as the show goes Wednesday, we'll keep that a little mystery surprise for you. Mm-hmm. We did a little something different, a little something cool. If you like it. So other than that, I think we'll wrap up. Visit placetobenation.com. We had another great week in the books. Mm-hmm. A lot of cool stuff popping there as well. We get the big football previews coming again. If you're interested in writing anything for sports, wrestling, pop culture, movies, TV, we're looking for some for music specifically as well.
Yes.
And also maybe a couple weekly recaps. Maybe transitioning a couple shows. So if you're interested in any of that, please hit us up on Facebook, or you can email us at info@placetobenation.com. Always looking for great talent. And you can submit a sample piece, and we'll take a look at it and let you know.
We actually, JR was talking with the lovely Miss Engel on Saturday night about a possible future music project.
Oh, okay, very good.
So we're getting the wheels in motion. I mean, right now we got to focus on college football, and we're going to have our little powwow with our boys this week. For anybody who wants to, in particular sports, we got big college football preview planned. Could use some writers. So if you're interested and you'd like college football, again, hit us up, because we definitely use the help. Definitely use the input. So.
All right, let's wrap up, Scott. We'll be back Wednesday night. A little mystery action. Until then, take care. That's Scott. I'm Justin. We be out.
See ya. Vodka grapes. What would Vince have made?
He probably just would have drank the vodka and then ate the grapes.
I hate grapes.
We would have someone feed him the grapes.
Yes. Would have had Armento feed him the grapes with a toothpick.
Oh, God, I'm going to throw up again.
Oh, God, don't get me started. I still have that smell.
I hope you like the hell by you. Be screaming murder, she wrote like Shaka Demons and
just walking the streets, death could take you away. It's never guaranteed that you'll see the next day. At night, the evil armies of Shaitan don't play. So defend the family, that's the code to obey.
If I should fall asleep and dead take me away, don't be surprised, son, I wasn't put here to stay. At night, the evil armies of Shaitan don't play. So his family stick together and we never betray.
We used to jump rope, but now we gun hope. Busting shots off of project rooftops, sending signals with the blunt smoke. Don't talk a lot if you can't hold it in lock. If you think lip sync shifts, imagine 4 Glock clips. I hold a glass of Remy Martin, getting milks by the cartons, extorting the lightweights for thinking they important. The night pays in heavenly ways, ain't nothing free, guys. Acknowledging your family and step into your B-I-U-C-I. Stay on top of shit like a fly, my niggas reach. When we got beef, then jet down the South Beach. Your mouthpiece is yapping, I hear it in your rapping. My family is sick, so that bullshit can never happen.
Just walking the streets, death could take you away. It's never guaranteed that you see the next day. At night, the evil army and Shaitan don't play. So defend the family, that's the code to obey.
If I should fall asleep and death take me away, don't be surprised, son, I wasn't put here to stay. At night, the evil armies of Shaitan don't play. So the family stick together and we never betray.
Yo, what you say? Yo, word the mother, yo. I'll punch you and bust your whole head, kid. I swear to God, this is Shannon Briggs. I get paid to knock people out, you know what I'm saying? Yo, walk up, chill. Don't even hold me. Yo, word the mother. I work, yo, chill, yo. I'm with the Fugees. What? You know what I'm saying? What?
Now this happens to be the one and only spot from the refugee crew. So you all out the refugee, eliminate drum pen in the dancehall session. Cause we don't play with sound clash. Sound boy can make back.
Any pussy dusted!
Strumming the plates with our fingers. Eliminate sounds with our songs. Killing a sound boy with this sound. Killing a sound boy with this sound. Taking sound boys' lives with this dog. Killing him softly. With this sound.
You request this a wee wee why.